Okay, well, the umpire's holding the ball aloft. Big Scholar up against Ivan Marek to start this great game here this afternoon. Up they go. Scholar left-handed tap, but straight down to Jeremy Clayton. Away go the Port Adelaide side. Mark Clayton off the left boot up inside the 50. There's a free kick being found immediately, and it's going to go the way of Paul Thomas for the Doggies at half-back. So a free kick there. I must admit I was watching back in the centre to see what was going to happen after that altercation between the two big men. So I didn't see what the free kick was for. Thomas gets onto a beautiful drop punt. Up they go. Eichner at the back tried to thump it away. Off hands though. Look, there's that man again, Clayton. He's had two touches. Jeremy, that is. Came to his teammate there in De Pasquale. Got the handball away, but put his teammate under pressure. Big Marek's got it. Will come back with a looping handball back to De Pasquale, who's got it. They tackle him. The ball falls to ground. He's got support though. There's magpies everywhere. Back to Big Marek, but now the Doggies have got it. The handball ends up with Thomas, who's down from full-back. The hurried kick though. Intercepted, is it by Eichner? He's trying to pick up the foot. He gets the handball away to Archie, and the Pies out of trouble to the outer side.
Archie relieves the pressure for the Port Adelaide Football Club, and the mark taken there right in front of the Port Power headquarters, the training facility there, and taken by Johnny Baird, formerly of the Kangaroos, in his first game. He comes across goal and finds the player there. It looks like Tommy Carr it is. He takes the bounce. He's inside the defensive 50 at the northern end of Alberton Oval. He takes a second bounce now. He's looking for option. There's Archie providing something, but he goes longer and finds that player in Fitzgerald. Takes the mark on centre wing, grandstand side. Handballs off. There's Butcher defecting from the base. The kick is very nice indeed. There's Morrison surely being hurled. The umpire says nothing doing. Obbs picks it up. He's just at half back for the Doggies. He handballs and finds the player there in Swatala. Swatala in the centre of the ground. He goes there. Dangerous kick. Oh, Clayton takes a great mark. He's been on fire. He comes out wide towards the RPH football commentary crew and finds Butcher. He's been in the thick of things. He takes the mark. He handballs over and finds the player there for Surgeon, and he goes looking for Locken and or Micklejohn. Micklejohn possibly holding on to off the hide in the square, and it goes through for behind. The first score, Port Adelaide a point. The Doggies yet to score.
Yeah, the big match-up. Jeremy Clayton v Jimmy Gowans. Isn't that worth the price of admission just by itself?
Well, Jeremy Clayton on top already. 3 possessions, a great mark there over the back. So the first score on the board, the 5 RPH scoreboard, as Thomas kicks the ball to himself in the square, decides to come to the grandstand side, gets the block from off to hide, and at the short pass, he was looking for Swatala. It's actually missed his target, but Wilson's got a clever handball over the top, through the hands there of his teammate, who's going to go in and pick it up and put it on the left foot. Dragged to the ground after he got rid of it. The ball thumped away by the Port Adelaide defence, though. The handball comes over from Morrison. A chance for De Pasquale. Intercepting was Surgeon momentary. Oh, he was given a bit of latitude to get rid of the footy. Back it comes to Surgeon on the left boot. It wobbles inside the 50. Chance now for Locken. Picks it up. Gets through. Swings it onto the left boot. There's a Guernsey out there. I think it's Mark Clayton. Is it out there by himself? Takes the mark. And the opportunity for the skipper to drill one early for the Pies.
Yeah, well, Mark Clayton, he's played every grade of the Port Adelaide's, from under 13s, 15s, 17s, 19s, reserves league, and now the captain. And I guess, you know, great family pedigree. We had Bob Clayton sitting next to us earlier. He's part of the Magpies hierarchy these days, and the captain has a chance to get the first sausage roll on the board this afternoon and give the Magpies an early lead. We'll kick from 40 in front of the RPH scoreboard. The kick is on its way and is wide to the left. So the Magpies 2 points, the Doggies yet to score.
And there's Paul Thomas at the southern end of Alberton Oval. He's been in the thick of things so far. He's had the ball on a string. The kick is a grasshopper there and finds Symes. He takes the mark at half-back. He'll rebound from 50 and find a player there in Chad O'Sullivan. He marks and rebounds from 50. He comes grandstand side centre wing, looking for Adrian Wilson in front. Should take the mark. Oh, good attention there by Jenner. It's flicked backwards. Picked up now there by Marek. Look at their pace on him. He handballs to Clayton. Clayton, magnificent handball to Jenner. Jenner takes it. He handballs over now to Surgeon. He's been involved early as well. Possibly could have handballed, but he's gone with the long kick inside 50. Looking for Micklejohn. Off to hide. Oh, too good. No, the umpire's called play on, and it's now gone out of bounds around about 40 metres out from the Port Adelaide goal at Alberton Oval.
That was interesting, that one, Phil. I mean, the umpire called play on, but if he'd have grabbed it on the third occasion, that would have been a mark.
Absolutely. Early interchange, Norsworthy on for Hurst's first run, or Sullivan off.
OK, the boundary throw him at the back. Micklejohn, magnificent tap down to Jeremy Clayton, evades a tackle. The handball to Rock Harry, around the body goes Rock, but he's across the face. It's still in play in actual fact, and the first there for the Doggies was in fact Alan Obbs goes over the boundary line for a throw in left full forward pocket.
And Con, you'd be pretty happy. Early signs from the Magpies. Lots of pressure being put on.
Yes, mate. A lot of pressure there, and both sides are sort of filling each other out.
Certainly are, and the boundary umpire, he's doing exactly that as he throws the ball back into play. Number of players go up, the ball to ground. Who's going to be there? The doggies have got the numbers, and through comes Thomas. He's already had a number of possession. Gets it over to Obbs. Obbs in turn gives it to his teammate. Ends up here with Sibanala. Sibanala in the defensive 50 on the grandstand side. Sinks the slipper. The ball comes down the centre wing. Players set themselves at the back. Eichner did it well. Pushed his opponent under the footy, and that was Britton to take a good mark.
And Eichner goes inboard and finds that player Surgeon also been busy on the mark there. Officer right in the middle of the lovely Alberton Oval. Surgeon goes straight down the corridor looking for the player in Mickle. Johnny can come from behind. In front though was the player there in Sculler. He does well and cops on round the chutney. And the umpire says yes. Oh, and also a 25-metre penalty we think against Locken. So they will rebound from 50. Scholar has got the ball. He's got a big white bandage on his right knee, but he looks to be okay. Don't worry about that. He came into the game. He'll go further out wide and look for the player there in Optahide. He's running well. He's on centre wing outer side. He comes in board now and finds the player there in Richard Cochran. He's taken the ball. He goes via the left boot inside 50, but in the way there is Marek. He's been good and impressive early. He plays on immediately and handballs off to the player there in Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald comes wide to centre wing, looking for the player there in Jenner in front of Adrian Wilson. Oh, pick-up was very good. He evades Wilson beautifully. Yes. Lovely work. He's taken a bounce. There's Thomas. Oh, crunch. He's hip and shouldered him over the boundary line, and the umpire has paid FAD. Goodness me, I'm not quite sure about that, Phil.
Well, I'm not sure about the decision, but certainly Jenner's work there, the first PDK highlight of the afternoon.
Absolutely, on the Angus Securities match of the day, and there will be Micklejohn to go inside 50.
That bump just a fraction late, but as long as they're consistent, you don't mind. That is the ball back into the centre to Surgeon. He's got another player out loose across half-back. That's Steve Pasquale. Onto the left boot he goes, up inside the 50. Chance now for Rock Harry. The ball bounces for him. He dodges around, kicks it onto the right boot, in towards full forward. Big Scholars there. Tries to get away, does get away. Evaded the tackle, gave it over to Optahide. He'll go over the top. Again there to Ops. Ops with a handball, looking for Thomas. Found him, back to Ops it comes. And away go the doggies now as they bring it towards centre wing. Britton in front. Can he take the mark? Wonderful spoil by Eichner. That was a beauty. Chance now for the doggies now as it came to Northworth. He got it over to his teammate there in Wilson. Wilson fired a ball down to centre wing, but Stevie Eichner in the way for the Pies, and here's a big chance. They've got players running everywhere. Butcher gives it to Surgeon, and the doctor goes bang inside 50 for the Pies.
And there's Micklejohn finding some room. The Port Adelaide faithful are pretty happy about that, and goodness me, Port Adelaide have had all the running so far, and Micklejohn takes the mark and should kick from around about 40. He's pretty well directly in front. The Magpies going to the southern end of Alberton Oval. The Grand Central time clock, the home of the Doggies, says 6 minutes gone in the first quarter. Port Adelaide 2 points. The Doggies yet to score and yet to really go inside 50 with a conviction.
I reckon they've been inside 50 twice. Port about 8 or 10. They actually need this goal to be rewarded for the momentum they've had as he kicks in from 40. It's being clapped by the captain. The goal umpire agrees. We have our first goal of the afternoon. The Magpies 1-2-8. Central's yet to score, and thanks to Black and White Trucks and Removals, let's move it right around the grounds.
Thanks, Phil. In the other SANFL games, not a lot going on there between Eagles and Glenelg. 1 point apiece. South are 1-1, North 1 behind. Sturt 1 goal 1, Norwood 3 behinds. In the AFL, it's Geelong by 26 points over the Kangaroos and Melbourne by 19 points over the Dogs. Back to Alberton Oval.
And Alberton Oval 1-2-8 on the Angus Securities game of the day. The umpire balls it up in the middle. There's Marek getting to it first, but in front of Sculler there it was. It came there to Surgeon trying to get a quick kick off the ground and did that. The player there for Port Adelaide storming through and infringing there against the Central District's player. I think that's Brad Symes, and yes it is. He's on centre wing grandstand side, just inside the centre square. He goes via the right boot, looking for the leading player there in Quinton Graham, possibly pushed out of the umpire said no, so good defensive work there by Port Adelaide. It comes down to Tommy Carew, rebounds from 50 and finds the captain, Mark Clayton, on centre wing on the outer side in front of the cheesecake shop. If you want a bit of a pastry, go and say hello over there. He kicks it now outside half forward. Morrison taps it back in. That's clever play, but tapped on. Oh, hitting the trainer it was there in the way. Picked up there by the player in Adrian Wilson. He comes and finds the player there in Graham. He's got a bit of space. He handballs on. That's very good indeed. Can't pick up who that player is just at the moment, and it goes inside forward 50. Oh, pushing the back. The umpire was right there and agreed. Yes, good umpiring. You don't mind if they're consistent, so let's just wait and see what happens from there.
Well, no doubt he put two hands in his opponent's back. I mean, you see it a lot, but the umpire was right there and said, hang on, I've got to pay this.
Yep, Kane Officer has the kick. He's going to kick from 45 straight in front. We'll see if this wind across the ground, how strong it is. Officer, well, one of those young players who's got to come into the side, perform at a higher level to make up for the players like Hopwood, Bello, Arnott, Healy that have left the Bulldogs. Did a great effort last week.
The wind's a bit tricky out there, though.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky. We'll see. He's going to be straight in front, so if he heads for the left and it swings right, he should be right, but it swung way right. So a miss for the Doggies. That is their first score, though. They are 1 point. The Magpies 1-2-8.
Right, the ball back into play. Port Adelaide have got it at half back through Deeper Squale on the grandstand side. He's able to get a handball back inboard. Looking there for his teammate, and that player in actual fact is Bullen. Bullen gets it into the centre, but backing back and taking a good mark is Officer, and he'll take the mark, the relieving mark for the Doggies. Immediately plays on, bombs a long one up inside 50. Archie's in the van, takes the mark. He had his name written all over it. Gets the handball back to Eichner. Onto the right boot goes Eichner. Centres it, looking for Jeremy Clayton. The ball thumped away though. Jeremy Clayton recovery is outstanding. Picks up the footy, has a bounce, has two bounces, advances to centre wing, handballs inboard to Butcher, I think it was. No, it wasn't. It was Baird in actual fact. Got it back there to Bullen. Bullen now out towards centre wing. Intercepting though is Westhoff. He's tackled, loses the footy. Through comes Wilson. Couldn't pick up the ball, but Slade does. Over the top goes Evil Roy with a beautiful handball. Gives the opportunity now for Westhoff to gather in the footy. He will put it up inside 50. The leader's on, but it's not a good kick off the boot. He was looking for McCabe. Eichner's there, gets it back out to Tommy Carr, who will break away through the defensive 50 and go short, and the mark taken by Marek.
Marek right at centre half back for the Magpies. A good standard of game. Lots of pressure, lots of tackling and lots of running on the Anchor Securities match of the day. PDK highlights for sure, don't worry about that. The kick there finds Surgeon. He marks round about half back, and he will be looking for options. He comes over to the RPH football commentary crew and finds Butcher. He's almost on centre wing grandstand side. He goes by the right boot, and great running by Archie, getting away from his opponent there, and he will kick it via the left boot, goes inside 50, looking for the player there in Morrison, is it, or Micklejohn? It's Micklejohn takes the mark. He could go back and unload. He does that, but he's sort of disciplined, and he kicks it right into the true hotspot as it was. Clayton going up. Oh, great captain's mark. Beautiful work by Mark Clayton. He's had an impressive afternoon. He's got the white boots on and the famous #1 Magpies Guernsey, and he'll line up, Phil, from about 35 metres, literally directly in front.
Well, it looked like he sort of ran under the ball, but the way it just came off the hands, he read that perfectly, and he's already had a shot and not too far away from where he is now, so he has a good idea of what this tricky wind is doing. You would hope as the captain he's a quick learner and has learned his lesson from the earlier kick. He'll come in there. We'll kick from about 45. If he heads for the right, he's fine. No! He's gone too far to the right. Didn't swing back enough, and that's two misses to Mark Clayton early from two set shots. The Magpies 1-3-9. The Doggies one behind.
Yeah, I think the problem is if you kick it too high, it's a very swirly breeze out there. I think you've got to keep it reasonably low as Thomas brings it out the grandstand side to Symes. Symes looking for Officer, but he was up against a couple of Magpies. One of those Deeper Squale, gathered it in, gave it to Jeremy Clayton, the handball back inboard, gave it there to Big Micklejohn. Back it comes now to Butcher. Butcher goes short. The pass is on to Lockham. Lockham takes it easily, then puts it on the left boot. I tell you what, the Pies at the moment are too quick with the Doggies. Comes to Morrison. Morrison goes short, and he's found Bullen right on the 50.
Well, they do look pretty quick. Morrison plays on. Sorry, Bullen it is, plays on and finds the player there. I can't actually quite pick up who that is just at the moment, but he comes via the right boot and looks for and finds Harry. He's right at centre half 40. Plays on, no one on the mark. He goes long, and that will miss to the far side. One would think, Phil, that some opportunities being wasted here by the Maggies.
Yes. Well, for Con, this was deja vu from last week, where
That's
against
right, mate. Yeah,
West Adelaide they were 2-9 or something.
And there's Thomas at full-back. He's been in everything. He's been kicking from behind. This will be his fourth kick in, if you don't mind. He's had probably 5 or 6 disposals as well. And Jeremy Clayton for the Magpies has done well. So Thomas, that's a lovely looking kick to the outer side. And in front there was the player in Richard Cochran it was. Comes out now to Surgeon. Gee, the quick hands there. Picked up or tapped on, I beg your pardon. And it will go to the player there. And Morrison is in front of the football. And he will take it over the boundary line. Some attention by the Doggies players. And it's around about, one would think, 80 metres out from the Port Adelaide Magpies goal. The RPH footy scoreboard 1-4-10. Centrals are behind.
And DB, this is chalk and cheese for Central. Last week they were able to move the ball from defence into attack, you know, with almost Sturt appearing not to be there, but Port very accountable early.
Certainly the case, as I think they're kicking with the breeze too. The Doggies end up with Cochran. Cochran with a left boot now, puts it up towards centre wing. Up they fly, almost a good mark to Marek. In fact, paid. He doesn't wait for the umpire to pay it. He gets it on the Deeper Squale. The left footer goes long and deep into the pocket. Out in front is Big Micklejohn, thumped off his hands though. Wilson gathered it in beautifully, gave it to Sibonala, and Sibonala will bring it out to the half-back flank to Northworthy. He's still in the defensive 50 on the grandstand side for the Doggies. They've been under enormous pressure early from the Magpies, and he got no one to kick to, and that's unusual in itself. But now he gets the lead, but it's a bit high for Chris Gowns. Allows over the top Bullen to get the fist to the ball. Beautifully taken there by Jenner. Jenner goes short, finds a big bloke in Marek. He gives it to Rock Harry. Rock Harry will drill it in towards full forward. He's looking for Micklejohn at the back. He'll take it, will he? The arm was pulled down. He'll get the mark anyway, or the free kick, and he'll line up from point blank range. The Port Adelaide Magpies on fire at the moment.
Yeah, look, don't really want to sound like a broken record, but it's critical that Micklejohn nails this one. I mean, he should. He's right at the top of the goal square, only going to be 10, 15 metres out. But Port Adelaide have so dominated this first quarter, only been 9 points up. Is it injustice? The kick is on its way, and that is another goal. So the Magpies starting to get some reward from their effort. They go to 2-4-16. The Doggies just 1 point, and Paul Blandis, this is an amazing quarter, especially considering the way that Central demolished Sturt last week.
Oh, well, Port Adelaide have been all over Centrals like a rash. Ivan Marek has been absolutely magnificent. Jeremy Clayton, he's probably going to need to take a couple of paracetamol at quarter time because he'd have leather poisoning. And Butcher, goodness me, if there's any Bays people listening out there this afternoon, well, Troy Butcher is playing one hell of a game. Kyle Jenner oozes class. McGowan's boys for Centrals haven't been sided much. RPH footy scoreboard, 15 points to the Maggies. There he goes, the ball up. McKenzie, it was Schuller, I beg your pardon, over jumped it either. Handball by Symes was very good. Goes there to the player in Westhoff. He kicks it inside 50. There's Eichner. What a game he's played. I'm sorry I missed him out before he takes it and plays on the redhead. He rebounds from 50, looking for the player there in Jenner. Great, strong contested mark in front of the player there in Thomas. That's very good. Is that 25 metres? No, it's not. And good work there by Thomas. Jenner plays on immediately, gives it to that man Clayton. He's poleaxed after, but he finds there the player in Fitzgerald. He's run from defence. He goes now inside 50, looking for another forward line players, but Richard Cochran gets in front, plays on handballs immediately, almost in air he was. There's Jimmy Gowans getting the handball, but the pressure by Clayton was enormous. Picked up there by Schuller almost. Marek is in there. They're playing well. There's Richard Cochran relieving a bit of pressure. Will come out and find Graham centre wing out of side.
Yeah, Graham with the footy now. He thought about giving it to Thomas, who was giving support, but elected to bomb it high into towards the full forward. Up they go, but poor kick, and taking the mark is De Pasquale. Gets it back to Tommy Carr. Tommy Carr will go into the centre and find Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald now thought about giving it to Jeremy Clayton, but changed his mind. Gave it over to Bullen. Bullen now towards the, I think that's Piarchi that may have taken the mark out there at the half-forward flank out of side for the Pies. He wastes no time, gets the handball over there everywhere. He comes back to Baird. Baird now with the left footer in towards full forward. The surgeon overran the footy, allows Cochran to pick it up for the Doggies, and he goes short, and he finds Jimmy Gowans. Jimmy Gowans will go further afield, looking for Westhoff, put him under the hammer. No, he got the handball away. Gave it to Graham. Graham at centre wing, feinted the handball, then went for the Moby Dick towards centre half forward. Up in front was Britton. The ball thumped away. The Pies are doing a magnificent job at the moment. In comes De Pasquale. He's got a Guernsey loose in the centre. That's the way it goes. Piarchi. Piarchi in turn gives it to his teammate. That might have been Baird up towards half forward. Taken by the player there, and Jenner plays on, goes bang, and misses to the right-hand side. Unlucky for the Pies. They're 2-5-17. The Doggies just one behind. We've played 16 and a half minutes on the Grand Central time clock.
They're kicking for goal. The skills of Port, especially the contested marks. It's something we don't see much in AFL footy these days, but the Magpies really showing it well.
The kick out from fullback has ended up with Brad Symes. He comes to grandstand side centre wing. Good movement by the Central District side. The mark's taken by Graham. He goes inside 50. This is where they've been breaking down. They do so again because there's Archie, the double fist. Oh, the second effort. Oh, Timmy Jenner will love that. He'll have the guitar out, singing and smiling, and no doubt sending a message via the runner for the RPH footy scoreboard. 2-5-17 the Pies. Central's just the one behind at the moment. Grand Central says we've gone 17 and a half minutes. The Energy Securities match of the day.
Boundary throw in, half forward flank, grandstand side for the Doggies. They've really been into attack. When they have, they've been pushed out by the very good Magpie defence. The ball in towards the 50-metre area for the Doggies, and getting a quick free kick, in fact, was Quinton Graham. He just played on and blazed towards full forward. Most unlike the Doggies, but it looked like he's got to come back and kick over the mark. Phil Herden.
Interchange, Kane officer coming off for arrest, and Scott Dudschke on for the Doggies.
So Quinton Graham now will go back. I said I thought the Doggies were kicking with the breeze, but I've got to be honest with you, boys, I've got no idea. It's a very swirly breeze out there, and both sides have got onto some kicks that have gone a long way with at both ends. So very tricky breeze. It's Quinton Graham now lining up. You wouldn't think he'd make the distance. He's just outside 50 as he goes bang with a drop punt. It's a high ball. That'll hold up for sure and certain in the square. The big men will fly. Marek is back there. Will he take it? In fact, it was Micklejohn back there. So they're rotating their big men at full forward, I would have thought, as Micklejohn now will get a 25-metre penalty. Obviously, the and McCabe not happy giving the umpire. Is that Ben Stiller, is it? No, or is it?
No, that's Sandshoes Cowell.
Okay, Cowell it is. And anyway, the ball ends up with Eichner. He thought about handballing to Baird, got himself into a little bit of trouble, but then got out of it with a high ball. No one to kick to subsequently. First there was Symes, but Port Adelaide too much pace. Piarchi chipped in front, taken by Buckets McKenzie. He gives it over to his teammate there in Jimmy Gowan. Back it comes to the Doggies. Ends up there with a player I couldn't pick out, and picked it up towards full forward. And there's the mark in front. It is to the Doggies. And Who is it, boys? It's Matthew Slade that'll line up from point-blank range and kick from about 12 metres. And, gee whiz, Port Adelaide have had all the play, yet if he kicks this, there's only going to be about, 10 points in it?
Well, that's right. It's a 16-point margin as Slade, one of those veteran players for the Bulldogs, does the right thing. Now's the goals. The Central Army behind the goals like that one. And for the first time, it's taken 20 minutes. Doggies have a goal. 1-1-7, Port 2-5-17. Thanks to Black and White Trucks and Removals. Let's move it right around the grounds.
Thanks, Phil. Looking at the other games in the SRNFL, it's Glenelg 2-1-13, Eagles 3 behind, South 3-2-20, North 2 behinds, and Norwood 2-4-16, Sturt 2-2-14, Geelong by 37 points in the AFL, and Melbourne by 8 points in the other game. Back to Alberton Oval.
Welcome back to the Angus Securities game of the day. The umpire balls it up in the middle. There's Micklejohn jumping early, but there's Chris Gowns getting half a hand pass. It was Cochrane picking it up, and there's the centre clearance to the Doggies. All important. Coming out there is Brittany. Poleaxes a couple of Port blokes. There's Eichner. He's been very good. Handball to Clayton has been outstanding. Eichner, the run on centre wing is beautiful. Goes inside 50. There's Lockett in front, but punched away by Obbs. It's now picked up by the player there in Bullen. He goes inside 50, looking for and finding Marek, and the free kick will be paid and play on. Morrison will go straight in.
Yes.
The Port Adelaide Magpies have got 3. Morrison has got 2. 3 goals, 5-23. The Doggies are 1-1-7. The Grand Central time clock says we've gone 20 minutes, and that is a PDK highlight. Phil Hurden.
Absolutely, and the height of the Magpies around the ground. We've seen so many marks in this first quarter. Micklejohn's been raking them in. Marek's been a great target when the defence, Bullen, Baird, Eichner. He's probably going to be my best on ground thus far, but in the way of defence. It's not just the midfield that we thought Port would be very good, but their tolls have been sensational.
Okay, Paul, you called a free then to the Port Adelaide, so the umpire indicated was being held.
Yes,
so that's the reason why he paid advantages. Ends up with Jeremy Clayton, does a couple of twists and turns and then goes short and finds his teammate there in Rock Harry, who comes onto the right boot now, sinks the slipper, a high ball going a long way towards full forward. Up in front will be Sibonala, and he takes the mark, virtually on his chest. Doggies under enormous pressure here at the Alberton Oval on this Angus Securities match of the day. Comes to Northworthy, gives it to Thomas. Thomas now to Buckets McKenzie, who takes the ball at half-back on the grandstand side. Gets the Bronx cheers for some unaccountable reason. Now come to O'Sullivan. He's got wearing the old number of Marco Bello. The ball up towards half-forward, but Archie again gives it to Baird. Baird over the top to De Pasquale. De Pasquale goes short, looking for Surgeon, but chipping in is Westhoff, I think, who takes the mark. Well done. Chipped it short to Chris Gowns. He'll almost run to 50. No, he'll go short. Sees a Guernsey out the corner of the eye, and I think it's Evil Roy again. Matthew Slade takes the mark and will line up from about 47 metres.
Yeah, 47, maybe 47.5 DB, not quite sure about that one. 22 minutes gone, and Westhoff, great to intercept the ball. Read that versus Port to be on another junction, and now a chance to make it a 12-point turn. And that kick from Slade, Breeze, what Breeze? Great sausage roll by the Doggies, that's their second. Slade has both of them. The Central District 2-1-13, just keeping in touch with the Magpies, 3-5-23.
Yeah, well, I mean, their inaccurate kicking is keeping really the Doggies in the game, boys. I mean, they've had all the play, there's no doubt about that. They've been absolutely outstanding. More players at the fall of the ball in their defence. I mean, they've just been outstanding, absolutely outstanding.
The Angus...
I said that 3 times a minute.
The Angus Securities game of the day. Phil Hurden, Dennis Brown and Paul Blandis on RPH Football, the local football specialist, proudly supported by Angus Securities, the fixed interest specialist. A PDK highlight there by Matthew Slade getting his second. There's the ball up in the centre, and they look like they'll win it against Centrals. The quick handball out finds O'Sullivan. He's been a pretty good player for the Doggies. He gets the centre clearance. Up was Graham. Couldn't take the mark. His second effort is fantastic. Finds it, James Gown. He handballs backwards and finds the player there in Chad Norsworthy. He goes inside 50 by a courageous mark taken there by Biarchi, running backwards with the flight of the ball. He gets up and plays on immediately and finds Baird with the handball, who kicks via the left boot and finds De Pasquale, and he takes the mark on half-back. The umpire comes in and says no, the Centrals player didn't offend, and De Pasquale slows things down for the Port Adelaide Magpies. 3-5-23, the Doggies 2-1-13. A loose player out there is Carr on the grandstand side, but De Pasquale says no, I'll go out wide further still, and the player getting up there couldn't quite take the mark, but there's a Sibonala it was, and now it's Dutchke, it looks like, from the Doggies. He gets the kick, kicks it, that's terrible, and there's Eichner. Gee, what a good player, Phil. You're not far off about best on ground. He plays on now immediately and finds that player, Tom Carr, who's actually been there for about 60 seconds, all on his Pat Malone, and he'll now play on and find the player there in Fitzgerald. Good running there. He takes the mark just outside of the 50, or the defensive 50 for Port Adelaide. He comes up looking for Jenner. He'll kick now. The kick didn't look very good, but Jenner made some good ground and takes it right in front of the Port Adelaide faithful. The person standing the mark there for the Doggies is Paul Thomas. Jenner, he's been influential so far. He's got the white boots on. Well, they're sort of gold a little bit. He kicks the ball to grandstand side centre wing, but there's Adrian, a.k.a. Wilbur Wilson, takes the mark in front of the player there, and Locken. He'll go back and put the Doggies into attack.
Yeah, Wilson's got a Guernsey in the centre of the ground. One of the Gowns boys beautifully intercepted by Surgeon. He read it superbly. Chance for Robs. He's wrapped up. They lost the footy. The Pies are desperate as they go in hard, but the ball spills out to Sibanala. Ends up with Cochrane. He was looking for Buckets McKenzie, but Buckets didn't have a bucket. He had nothing, but he's going to go in and get the ball again. Gets the handball back. That's clever footy. Gives it now to Chris Gowns, who goes over the top to Slade. In fact, it was Jimmy Gowns. Back to Slade. Back to Jimmy. And the umpire has said ball it in, boys, because the players had gone over the boundary line for a boundary throw-in. As Jimmy Gowns and Locken have a few words to say. It was Jimmy doing most of the talking at the boundary umpire throw. There's a free kick for sure and certain. I think Big Buckets got thrown to the ground by Micklejohn, and unless it's Greek-Roman wrestling, you know, not allowed to do that in this game. The ball ends up with Nordsworthy. He bangs it up inside 50. Players will tip, but look at all the pies back there, will you? It's almost like a bakery, as the ball is now inside the 50, and there'll be a ball up at 10.5 forward for the Doggies.
Yes, Central's not really going inside 50 with any sort of conviction indeed, and there's magpies everywhere, as DB mentioned, and the umpire will ball it up. In fact, he throws it up now, and players coming from everywhere to try and contest that, but Archie possibly caught one too high. No, the tackle from Graham was good, said the umpire, and wrapped up there is Westhoff, but he manages to get the handball out, finds O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan there finds Symes, and Symes a good kick there and finds Nordsworthy. So a lot of the new players from Centrals are certainly getting their money's worth and getting plenty of the football. He's outside 50, he goes short inside 50, the kick is terrible, and Jenner taking the mark. No, he spilled it as it turned out. The Biarchi handball came, and only so far as Wilson, the errant kick by the Port Adelaide defender there, found Wilson, a 25-metre penalty. TV didn't see that.
Yeah, I mean, but two Smithfield clangers, Smithfield crash clangers there, one after the other. Firstly, the poor kick. He didn't look, he just blazed. And then, of course, Jeremy Clayton running over the mark. But they're hot on that. But, hey, mate, they're consistent.
No, that's consistency, definitely it. But, yeah, Central District, it's about making the use of your opportunities. Port have blown a few set shots in the opening quarter. The game has settled down a bit as the siren goes. Just add a bit more pressure here to Wilson's kick. He's going to, certainly distance shouldn't be a major problem. He's going to kick from about 30. Comes in there, the cheer squad with the flags, the grandstand crowd, the Magpie faithful booing, and that kick, the goal umpire salutes, just watches it sail over his head. So Central have kicked the last two, and we're back to a 4-point football game. Amazing. The Doggies 3-1-19, Port Adelaide 3-5-23. So after all of that great work early by Port Adelaide, they are only ahead by just the 4 points. The goal scorers to quarter time, Morrison to in record time, guys, Dennis Brown to get us underway with the second quarter.
And those scores brought to you by Black and White Truck Removals. If you want to move it right, DB.
Exactly, move it right with Black and White around the grounds. And we'll be giving plenty of those this afternoon. Around the ground scores, some pretty interesting games at other venues as the umpire has the ball. And he's about to hold the footy aloft and get this game underway. The big men to do battle, Scholar and Marrick. Up it goes, Scholar on the left and Marrick on the right of your radio as the ball comes to ground. A chance for Mark Clayton. Bent down, picked up the footy, couldn't get rid of it safely. Chris Gowns is in there. He falls on top of the footy. The umpire's got no option but to ball it up. Still in the square towards the doggy end of the Alberton Oval. Angus Securities match of the day on RPH 11.97. The ball now thumped on by Tommy Carr to his opposite number there in Westhoff, who bangs it up inside the half forward flank. The chance now for Big Buckets. McKenzie bent down, gives it to Chris Gower. He'll go with a check side. Couldn't possibly kick it. No, it's going to fall short in front. McCabe, the ball underneath him, tried to tap it out, but it's all the pies there as Deepa Squall emerges with the footy. He gave it now to Archie. Chi now gave it to Fitzgerald, who begins it out here looking for Jeremy Clayton. Just got rid of his opponent like he was a bag of chips and got rid of him. Came to Pullen, back to Jeremy Clayton. Jeremy Clayton now puts it on the right boot. The lead is on from get a free kick anyway. The player was pushed in the back in Locken against Obst, and Locken now with the footy for the Pies. Grandstand side half forward flank.
He goes by the left boot and goes inside 50, looking for the tall timber there, and Micklejohn possibly holding on to his opponent. The umpire says no, and picking it up now there is a player in McCabe, and off the ground goes Thomas. The ball now rebounds from 50. Westhoff picks it up cleanly, but on his hammer is Biarchi, holding the ball ball, says umpire Daniel Cow with the white sand shoes on this week, and great pressure there by the Port Adelaide player opposed to Westhoff, his direct opponent. The umpire now calls play on. He goes by the right boot inside 50, looking for a target up forward there. Jenner is in front, but from behind it was the player there in Micklejohn thumping it down. Jenner there looking to pick up the ball, but he now wraps up the Centrals player in the tackle. The handball came out, but the umpire, Benny Stiller it was, came in and said it'll be mine. He'll ball it up around about 30 metres out from the Port Adelaide goal. Phil?
Yeah, ferocious contest. The way the Port forwards are tackling just can't give Centrals that space to get out of defence easily.
Not at all. They're being suffocated, aren't they, DB?
Yeah, they certainly are. The tap was effective by Port Adelaide then, but straight down to the doggy who got a free kick, and not sure whether the player gave umpire a bit of back chat there or what it was, but well, that's not a 20, that's a 15-metre penalty against Micklejohn. Symes is the player and gives it out to half-back to, looks like off to Hyde. He goes in short, finds a big Scholar. Scholar now on the right boot will sink the slipper. Up inside 50 it goes. Quinton Graham tried to take a one-hander offhand to Biarchi. He was up in the defence a moment ago. Got the footy, lost it though. The hot handball came out to Jimmy Gowns. He got thrown off the footy. The tackling is desperate out there at the moment as Archie gets it to Biarchi. Biarchi goes short. He's out there looking for Di Pasquale. Still in the defensive 50. Rolls out of sight of that area now and he picks it up and he indicates he's going to kick it long. No, he has a bounce, fooled everybody, including the commentator, as he bangs a long left foot up towards the half-forward flank. Symes got rid of his opponent and took the mark and immediately plays on now. Gives it to Norsworthy. Norsworthy will bring the ball to half-back and up in front. The mark taken by Westhoff in opposition to Surgeon. He's got a player running to the wing, I should say, and that's Paul Thomas. Had a few touches. His kick, there's a couple of doggies up at half-forward. One of those is an officer and a gentleman, and the opposite goes short. But it was a gentleman that kicked the ball because it was a shocker. That was a Smithfield crash, a clanger, and it ended up with Tommy Carr.
Tommy Carr goes right to centre half-back and finds the player Biarchi. He's been prominent in this second term. 3-5-23, the Maggies 3-1-13, 19, I beg your pardon, Centrals. And the kick there finds the player in Clayton. He plays on immediately, looking for Morrison. Dropped what he should have taken. Sibonala wasn't quite quick enough with the tackle. Morrison now goes this way, goes that way, wrapped up by Sibonala. Good pressure. The kick now comes and finds. Well, in fact, the umpire's playing a mark there to Bullen. It is just inside the 50. He's on an acute angle. I don't know, Phil, whether he's going to line up for goal, but if he does, he's going to have his work cut out for him.
Well, I was just wondering, was that a case of good luck or good aim that he was being, swung around as he was being tackled and banged right on the chest of his teammate?
He saw him. Don't worry about that.
Anyway, coming in now for the kick right in front of the Magpies merchandise van in that pocket, and that is another miss for the Magpies. Their sixth of the game thus far. 3-6-24, Central 3-1-19, a 5-point margin in favour of the Magpies.
Yeah, Paul Thomas to bring the ball back in for the Doggies. Kicks the ball to himself. That's about the third or fourth time he's done that. He's had a bounce. He's coming to the grandstand side, chips it, and clever kick finds Matty Slade just outside the 50. Slade now runs to centre half-back, touches the ball on the ground. He's looking for support in the centre. That's the way it goes to Jimmy Gown. He gives it over to his teammate there in Symes. Symes will go short up towards half-forward. Two Doggies run into each other, and the catcher wasn't there to grab him as it came to Wilson. Wilson got the handball back, but there's a Smithfield crash. Clanger, he gave it straight to a Magpie. Intercepting now is the player there was trying to pick it up. He got the footy anyway and goes short, and the mark taken there by Quinton Graham, who immediately plays on, bangs it up inside the 50. Out on the long lead was McCabe. The ball out the back. This is where the Pies have been outstanding, and the ball will come to the grandstand side and is taken by Di Pasquale.
Di Pasquale inside his defensive 50. He runs now and he'll rebound from 50 with the left-footed kick. It didn't look very nice, but it was very effective. The handball by Surgeon has given Clayton all sorts of problems indeed. Sculler, is he going to be quick enough? No, he's not. Surgeon the second effort, but getting there is Wilson. It comes out to McCabe. Better luck than fortunate was there. Jimmy Gowns, the handball out, finds Symes. Symes goes to Westhoff. Westhoff goes back to Wilson. He runs to 50. He goes for the long bomb for the Doggies. Will it get there? Oh, no. Good work getting back there. The player was Fitzgerald, it looks like. Or was it? It was Fitzgerald. He plays on immediately, gives it to Jeremy Clayton. He rebounds from 50, looking for and finding on centre wing out of side Kyle Jenner, who takes the mark.
Yeah, Jenner with the footy. Not anyone to kick to at the moment. Rock Harry breaks away, but he goes long, and up they fly. Grab your partners for a quick step and twing. Mark of the day by Morrison, gives it to Eichner. Eichner goes with a torpedo, but he's away to the right, and the minor score recorded. What a gem of a mark by Jad Morrison, up over the top, and that is an absolute PDK highlight if ever I saw one, boys.
Absolutely. The
Shane Morrison, in actual fact.
Shane Morrison, there's Westhoff, took the mark and rebounded from 50 and finds the player there in McCabe. He's dead set on centre wing, grandstand side of the lovely Alberton Oval. The kick wasn't quite good enough for Graham, but he did beautifully getting around Baird. but the kick there, the pressure from Baird was good. It's gone out of bounds on the floor, and what a Smithfield crash clanger that is. Larry, Frank and Eddie have done beautifully. Now the umpire's calling it back here. Well, the goal umpire is a long way out of his ground there. Goodness me, he's running around almost the 50 there. The goal umpire officiating absolutely beautifully there, Peter Challen, and he's going the back step now, Phil.
Well, Mark McKenzie was just trying. He said, well, no one's blown the whistle yet. I'm just going to pick it up and play on.
Oh, that was ballerina-like by umpire Peter Challen there. Goodness me, he'll have offers. Don't worry about that to be in Beauty and the Beast, but don't worry about that. There's Archie. He takes the mark. The kick at rebounding from 50. He plays on with the blue boots there. The left-footed pass is beautiful. There's a Clayton interrupting there. It was Cochrane. The handball by Butcher was interrupted by the player there in Officer, and now it comes to Dane Fitzgerald. Sinowing grandstand side. He goes long with the kick, looking for there and finding. Oh, Wilson skip, puts in the back. The umpire saw it, and Dirty Sanchez. Beautiful it was. Daniel Cow, DB.
Well, I mean, Ben Stiller, he had a better view than Cow, and Ben was looking at the in-laws, I think. Unbelievable.
I should add that the shot from Harry missed.
Well, that's okay. Well, the doggies have got it anyway, and it'll come back to the half-back flank where Northworthy's got it. He'll put it on the boot. Not a very good kick. Gee, that's an absolute Smithfield crash clanger. It came off his boot like an ice cream, in actual fact. And now the Pies have got it. They put it on the left boot up towards full forward at the back. Up high was Meiklejohn through his hand, and the free kick has been paid downfield by the looks of things. An FAD, and Big Meiklejohn will line up for goal.
Well, prediction from Con, another point coming up is quarter time in the Amateur League. Port Districts 5-1-31, Broadview 1-4-10. So good news for the Black and Whites all around here as Meiklejohn lines up. He's already got one, and I think he's missed one. Set shot, slide angle, going to kick from about 40 out. I think if he aims left and goes right, it should all work. He aims left, it goes right, and umpire comes back. That is a sausage roll. Finally a set shot. Magpies 4-8-34. Morrison has 2. Central go to 3-1-19. So by my reckoning, that is... I'll give you the margin in a sec, because thanks to Black and White Trucks and Removals, let's move it right around the ground.
Around the grounds in the AFL, it's Geelong by 24 points and over the Kangaroos, and the Western Bulldogs are trailing the Melbourne Demons by 13 points in the other game. And in the SANFL, it's Nord 4-6-30 to Sturt 3-2-20. South are leading North 7-2-44 to 5-6-36, and Glenelg are leading the Eagles by 16 points, 4-4-28 to the Eagles 1-6. Back to you guys.
Well, welcome back to Alberton Oval. The centre clearance there finds Jenner. The handball interrupted by his Central District's opponent. There's Norsworthy. They're getting wrapped up in the tackle there by the player. Can't pick up who that Port Adelaide player is. Jeremy Clayton, number 2. And he's been a good player indeed. The Anchor Securities game of the day. Port Adelaide 4-8-32. The last goal there by Meiklejohn, who's now got 2. Central's a 3-1-19. Grand Central says we've gone 8 minutes. He's now picked up by Clayton. Oh, great solo effort. He goes looking for Meiklejohn again. There he is. He marched literally at the top of the goal square. The quick movement got the doggies unstopped there, guys.
And a 25-metre penalty, but the umpire won't be able to use it because he was 12 metres out, and now he's right on the line. Through it goes, another goal to the Pies. Third goal to Big Meiklejohn, and the Magpies have eased away to a 19-point lead. 5 goals, 8-38, and the Doggies 3-1-19.
Yeah, they're making the substitution, coming off Paul Thomas, the acting captain, and coming back on Scott Dusky. And Central's look a bit in disarray. Port Adelaide, 19-point lead, the biggest lead of the match, finally getting some reward for their effort. And yeah, Clive who? You thought without Waterhouse up forward and Scotty Stevens, the main goal scorer last week, they'd struggle to score goals. But with Meiklejohn up there and Morrison running amok, they've got some targets to aim for.
Okay, in the centre, the ball goes up. They're playing aerial ping-pongs. It ends up with Surgeon. Away go the Pies. The lead on from Harry. Oh, will he get a free kick? He was met high. No, the umpire said that's okay. Comes to Wilson, casually steps between a couple of players, puts it on the left boot. It's almost a clanger. A Smithfield crash clanger that was, because it missed its target, and the Pies have got the opportunity to the handball. Oh, clever work by Big Marek. He tapped it over to the Surgeon, was it? And I think he's got a free kick now. It's not Surgeon. I'll pick up the player for you in a minute. He was met high, and the umpire was right there. In fact, it's Bullen that's got the footy. Centre wing grandstand side for the Pies. He's got a couple of Magpies either side of him, so he kips it short to Baird. Baird now in the true centre wing position. The drop pump, the leader's on. It's going to drop short. He's looking there for Harry. Harry went without the footy. The ball spills loose. Out comes Mark Clayton. Wonderful pick-up by big Mark Clayton. They jump on top of him from everywhere. Pull it up, umpire, and that's exactly what he'll do for a ball up. Left half-forward flank, actually between the half-forward flank, well, centre wing and the half-forward flank grandstand side for the Pies.
Yeah, good decision there by the umpire. Clayton Clayton didn't bring it in, and if he's the one who's game enough to get the footy, he shouldn't be penalised.
Great effort by the captain there, leading by example. There's the throw, but he taps it on, and it gets there to the player in Bullen. Is a go. There's Slade going in and taking it across the line deliberately. No, and good decision there by that umpire, Daniel Cowell. He's got the white sand shoes on today, make no mistake about that. RPH Football, the local football specialist on the Angus Securities match of the day, and they're the fixed interest specialists. Peter Kay highlights galore, and there's been clangers thanks to Smithfield crash. There's the ball up now, come down. Locken was wrapping up the Doggies player in the tackle. They're going to jump on it now. They're going to try and hatch it, it looks like, and it comes out now and finds Jenner. That's paddle pop line. That's magnificent. He's paddle tapped it straight to his opponent or teammate there, but there's a free kick going to the player in Morrison. The umpire indicated there he was being held under. Didn't see it myself, guys, but Morrison will line up with what will be his third and the Magpies' sixth.
Yeah, and whilst Morrison gets ready to take the shot on goal, half of the Magpies have run down to give Jenner a slap on the backside for a magnificent effort getting the bottom of that pack. And I'll tell you what, if football doesn't work out, he could probably give volleyball a shot with the way he handballed that one.
Well, the umpire obviously missed that, boy. Simple as that, I think.
But Morrison comes in. Umpire going for a bit of a run. The cheer squad like it. That's usually a good sign. And Morrison has 3, and the Magpies have 6. And now they're starting to break away from this footy game. The Magpies, 6-8-44 Central, stranded on their quarter-time score. That's 3-1-19. And thanks to Grand Central, 12 minutes gone, second quarter.
Yeah, they're getting killed in the centre. The Pies are just controlling it. Jeremy Clayton having another blinder, and I think the Doggies have got to arrest that problem. I'd be getting someone like Paul Thomas in there, while the coach Roy Laird at the moment, because they're really under the pump as the umpire throws the ball up. They go. Big Marrick got 2 hands to the footy. In goes Chris Gowns. They tackle him, and he falls to the ground with the ball underneath him for a take 2 of another ball up. You've just tuned into RPH. The score, Port Adelaide 6-8-44. The Doggies 3-1-19 as up she goes again. Taking it with Chris Gowns. Gave it to Slade. Slade now will put it on the left boot. The long lead is on into the pocket. Britton was up from behind. No Eichner. The ball spills. Dutchke was first there, but went without the footy. Kicked off the ground though by the Magpies. It'll end up with Slade. He'll get the ball to boot. It dodges and weaves inside the 50. Taken there by Westhoff. Got the handball over to, I think that was Chris Gowns. To Jimmy boy. He ain't heavy. He goes bang. And I think he has put it through for a goal, a PDK highlight. And Chris Gowns didn't even know where Jimmy was. He just went bang and hit him on the chest. The Twins have somehow manufactured a goal, and I'll tell you what, they needed that one. 4-1-25 of the Doggies. They trail the Pies 6-8-44. We've played about 12 and a half minutes on the Grand Central time clock.
Yeah, Roy Laird rotating the players as per normal, coming off Roy Slade, who is their leading goal scorer. Matthew Slade with 2 goals, and coming on now Chad O'Sullivan, his first run for the Bulldogs. But G Central needed that because Port had kicked the first 3 goals this quarter and was starting to establish a break. But yeah, those Gowan brothers, whenever they're playing, Central's still a hope. Oh, ESP, PDK highlight. Don't worry about that. They've got ESP. And there goes Marek. He gets first hand of the ball, but taking it out of the centre is Schuller with the white bandage on his right knee. Kicks it inside 50. Chris Gowans picks it up. He could score from here. He gets it on the boot. Didn't quite get enough distance. And there's Eichner, like a steam train. And also the play there in Archie it was. Dutchke's wrapped up in the tackle. Deep Pasquale did beautifully to keep it in. The handball comes inboard and finds Baird, who'll rebound from defence. He kicks it deliberately, and he will find the player only in front of the captain of Port, Mark Clayton. The handball comes over and finds McKenzie. He's outside 50 by about 10 metres, so that means 60 out from goal. You can figure that out. He's gone inside 50. There's Dutchke picking up, but he only gives it there to Jeremy Clayton. He finds the player there in Bullen, who storms out from 50. Handballs over in front of Polton on centre wing out of sight. He comes inboard and finds Locken. The kick wasn't quite good enough, but Locken was the half volley. There's the Doc. He handballs over and finds Bullen. Bullen, good running there by Locken. Doesn't use him, and Bullen goes, and finds Jenner. He's been a very good mark. And Phil, the crispness of his hands has been very good today by Kyle Jenner, and his presence around the football has been very clever. I reckon he's taken about 5 or 6 contested marks in a one-on-one situation, and you're right. I mean, he only made his debut at league level last year. Impressed then, and he has done some super work in the off-season, showing off this afternoon. He's going to kick. Yeah, the range might be tricky, DB, because I reckon he'll be just outside 50. Angles shouldn't be a problem, but Magpies have had troubles with the win this afternoon.
He'll be playing for the power next year. They certainly have. Yep, they certainly have. There's a big statement from Con Penglis. Very unbiased, I thought, as the kick now from Jenner. Outside 50. It's going to fall short in the square. Oh, up in front. Is that the big man again? No, this time it's Ivan Marek who's plucked the ball out of the sky, and he'll go back and try and drill another sausage roll for the Pies.
Well, Murray, he's been a really good player, hasn't he? And it's the big men that are killing Centrals. Morrison's got 3, Micklejohn's got 3, and now Marek could go back and what should be his first. So all the big men are killing Centrals at the moment. He goes back, and the umpire runs a little bit to his right-hand side, but that's a goal. Don't worry about that. 7-8-50 are the Port Adelaide Magpies. Centrals 4-1-25, and the Grand Central says we've gone 20 minutes. We're going to move it right with black and white. Back to the studio for score updates.
Thanks, guys. In the AFL, it's still Geelong by 24 points over the Kangaroos, and it's 12-point margin favouring the Demons over the Western Bulldogs. And in the other SANFL games, Nord are leading Sturt by 9 points. North are leading South by 12 points, and Glenelg are 22 points clear of the Eagles. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Michael. The umpire with the footy to ball it up in the centre. Mackenzie and Micklejohn. Up they go. Mackenzie with a left-handed tap, but the Pies are there first. Polton overruns the footy though on this occasion. Coming through strongly there was O'Sullivan for the Doggies. He falls to the ground though. The handball came out looking for Butcher. He lost the footy, but they'll get a free kick. The Pies. An old saying in life: when you're hot, you're hot, and when you're not worth a crumpet. But the Pies are running hot at the moment as the ball goes out to half-back, and the mark taken out there for them. I'll pick the player up in a minute. He's going to kick it short. It might have been Baird, I think, who took that mark, and he chips it into Jeremy Clayton. He immediately plays on into the centre, and the mark taken there by Rock Harry. So Harry with the ball in the centre.
They've been consistent. It's quite embarrassing that they've been consistent. All James Gowns did is said you got a bit of grass on your back and tried to flick it off, and 25 metres against James Gowns.
So you had what was that one for?
Well, it looked like he had something on his back. He did literally nothing, DB.
Okay, well, if you get 25 for doing nothing, and anything could happen today as the ball goes up towards half forward. And that's a good mark. That's a PDK highlight, backing into the pack. Very courageous mark by Wilson. He goes out to half-back, and the mark taken out there by, is that Twitala? Officer, is it? So Officer now goes up towards centre wing looking for O'Sullivan. He was behind the contest, but somehow is going to run onto the footy. There's a couple of doggies there. He gets support over the top to Symes. Symes got a bit of space to move in here. He's got Jimmy Gowns inboard. That's the way the handball goes. Jimmy in turn gives it over to his teammate there in Northworthy. Northworthy now to big Sebanala back down from centre half-back. The lead is on. The kick is a beauty, and a great mark there by Quentin Graham. The whole passage of football by the Doggies was PTK highlighted.
Yeah, that was probably the Bulldogs' best passage of play this afternoon. Moved it well from that half-back flank. And to see Benala, the link man in the middle. Nice short pass. And we keep on saying it every time the Bulldogs line up for goal. It's a critical kick. This one will be from 40, pretty much straight in front. Comes in now, Graham. It's a high kick. Let the wind take it right over the umpire's head. Another sausage roll of the Bulldogs there. Accuracy combined with the Magpies' inaccuracy, keeping them in the game. Centrals 5-1-31. They trail the Magpies 7-8-50. 19-point footy game, 19 minutes gone, thanks to Grand Central in the second quarter.
Well, as DB said, a PDK highlight. Absolutely no problems with that. Took it right from the southern end, the northern end of Alberton Oval. Took it right to the southern end, and Quinton Graham, that's a great kick for goal. Don't worry about that. You heard it on RPH Football. The Anchor Securities match of the day, and a PDK highlight to boot. 7-8-50 the Maggies, 5-1-31 the Doggies. Grand Central says we've gone 19 minutes, and there's a Doggies player trying to pick it up, was Norsworthy, but he gets overrun. There's Officer. The handball comes back to O'Sullivan, I beg your pardon, it was, who gives it now to Symes. The use of the handball in the last minute or so has been good by the Doggies. The kick now looking for James Gowns, I think it was, in front. Di Pasquale picks it up though and gives it to Baird. Baird goes with the left boot looking for Biarchi. He's in front of his direct opponent Westhoff, but there's two Doggies onto one. Symes now picks it up. He comes inboard and finds the player there in O'Sullivan. It is. He takes it now. He goes on the left, right boot inside 50. The kick wasn't good enough. There's Wilson picking it up. He's been the impressive player. Has the old jar of chutney ripped off. Goes now to Graham. The fans are calling for holding the ball, but picking it up is Bullen. He runs backwards and goes further backwards to Baird. Baird now comes out and finds the captain in Clayton. Clayton will rebound from 50 in front of Jimmy Gowns, but the kick there looking for Clayton opposed to Westhoff. Jeremy Clayton, a fantastic contested mark on centre wing grandstand side. This is RPH Football with Dennis Brown.
Yeah, PDK highlight for sure. Westhoff was his opponent then. He was simply outpointed on the day on that occasion by a better man. As the ball out the back to Obbs, he's pulled off the footy, loses the footy. Port Adelaide's tackling has certainly put the Doggies under enormous pressure here. There'll be a ball up half forward flank. There's a couple of players want to go on with it. The umpire standing over them. grab the footy if you can, Humpy, and throw it up in the air. That'll stop them. As the two doggies have a crack at the magpie, who hasn't taken a wing yet, and that's a bit unfair, I would have thought, as the umpire throws the ball up. Mackenzie tapped it down. O'Sullivan. Oh, there's a free kick to Chris Gown. Almost had his head pulled off, and he'll go back and take a kick. Half back to grandstands tied for the doggy. So Chris Gown now with the sausage, goes inboard to Wilson. Wilson takes the mark. Handball quickly to Symes. May have put him under the hammer, but he was good enough to pick it up on the first bounce. Gave it back to Wilson on the old 1-2. He goes to half-back. It's Officer out there with the footy now. He'll chip it in short and find Tibanala. Tibanala goes inboard. They've gone one too many, have they? O'Sullivan ended up with the footy. They go in hard. Going to the ground is Bullen. The ball underneath. Get it out, boys. That's exactly what they do. And the handball comes over to Marrick. Marrick now gives it to Polton. Away go the Pies. Polton has time to have a bounce, if you don't mind. He's dodging and weaving, touches the ball on the ground. Then handball's looking for Jenner. Jenner should run onto the foot. He does so. He's outside 50. The drop punt. The lead is on from no one in particular. Thomas got a hand up and dropped the ball and gave it to Mackenzie, back to Thomas, and Thomas will bring it out to Jimmy Gown's grandstand side in the defensive 50 for the Dogs.
Jimmy Gowans rebounds from 50 and finds the player there in Sibanola. It is. He takes the mark almost on centre wing grandstand side. He goes inboard looking for the player in Symes. He's had plenty of it this quarter, and so has Adrian Wilson's been a good player. He has a bounce. Surgeon, the Doc, almost catches him. Grandstand side centre wing. He goes by the right boot, but in front there is the player there in Clayton, it looks like, and he's taken the mark, and there should have been 25, and there is. He plays on immediately. The umpire is calling it back, though. Bullen has got it, but it'll come back to... is that Jeremy Clayton?
No,
or is that
Carr was.
Tommy Carr.
Tommy Carr.
They do look very, very similar. Thank you, Con, indeed.
And it's changes at Grand Central at the moment. Dutschke off for Slade, and also coming on Chad Davis.
And there is that man, Clayton. He took the mark. Chad Davis, he's right into the action, called by Phil. It'll only go as far as Wilson. Play on. He did take the mark, but it had been touched. He goes by the left boot on the outer side, looking for... There's a Smithfield crash clanger because it wasn't quite good enough. Norsworthy as opposed to Polton, and he's pushed Polton in the back, and the Maggies will take the free kick. Centre wing, outer side, right in front of the Cheesecake Shop.
I'll tell you what, it's been a game at a ferocious pace, and the way Port have tackled has been sensational, but is this a pace that can go for 4 quarters?
Well, we don't know. We'll find out as it comes here to Bullen. He puts it on the left boot now. The high ball towards centre half forward. Up in front, offhand, beautifully taken by Off to Hyde. He puts it on the right boot, but again, he's put his teammate under pressure. That was Britton, but the ball out to Polton now. He goes short, out wide on that half forward flank as Mark Clayton gets the handball quickly over. That player lines up for goal. I can't pick him up, but he bombs it towards full forward. The big men fly for the Pies. Offhand, there's a couple of Dogs there. And I heard a whistle go, but it must have been the girls' basketball next door as Paul Thomas has got it now. He chips it over the top, and it will be marked for the Dogs by, I think that's Westhoff. Westhoff now with the footy. No one on the mark at the moment, so he can move if he wants to. He's got one of the Gown boys in the centre. That's the way the footy goes. It was Jimmy Gown. Gives it to Slade now. Slade has time to have a bounce, run through the centre. He'll have to kick it soon, and there's the drop punt. This is where they've been falling down, and backing back, a PDK highlight. That was a rip snorter, and that was Baird, I think, as the ball is handballed over to Eichner. And what's happened here?
25-metre penalty again.
Gee whiz, we're having a chat to Shane Harris, and we'll find out what they're doing wrong. They must be doing something. They're either back chatting or they've got a hole in their foot and their toes creeping out and going over the mark or something, because we've got to find out what it is now. As Di Pasquale comes out the centre wing, taken there by Surgeon. He immediately plays on, goes short out there to half forward, and the mark taken by, I think it's Polton out there. So Jared Polton with the footy. He plays on, puts it up now. The lead is on. Up they fly. The ball thumped away by the doggy defence over the boundary line for a throw in that right full forward pocket.
And on the RPH football scoreboard, 7-8-50 to Magpies. Central's 5-1-35. Thanks to Grand Central, the time clock's gone 25 minutes, and Central, you'd think another goal here, and they're in the contest at half-time. Make no mistake about that. Port Adelaide have had all the running. There's the boundary throwing. Kicked out of mid-air by the player there in Bullen. It's gone straight up 20 metres, and Symes punches it out of bounds right in front of the Port Adelaide Magpies souvenir caravan, which just happens to be situated right in front of the Port Power Alan Scott headquarters. So there's the boundary umpire there. Oh, lovely theatrical throw in there. He throws it in as Off to Hyde as opposed to Marek. It comes down looking there for the player in O'Sullivan. Ducks the chutney, and the umpire says he copped one high. Thomas picks it up. Handball left hand, rebounds from 50. The ball coming out now for Mackenzie. The kick wasn't good enough. Micklejohn will pick it up just inside the boundary line. Comes backwards looking for the player there in Clayton. He was bowled over. Don't worry about that. And now the Central's player come in and sit on top of them. There's a pack forms, and we're about, you'd have to say 90 metres out from the Magpies goals, which therefore means we're pretty much on centre wing, outer side, right in front of the Cheesecake Shop. The Angus Securities game of the day here on RPH Football. Dennis Brown.
Up she goes in that area that Paul just explained. The ball out the back. Symes is first there. Got the handball to Officer. He can't get away, though. The tackle's a beauty. In fact, they've wrapped him up, and we'll have another ball up half-forward flank out of side of the Alberton Oval, right in front of the Alan Scott Power Headquarters building. Umpire to ball it up. Umpire, is it Anthony Mead, is it? It doesn't look like Anthony Mead. Anyway, he threw it up, and the ball now will come back out to centre wing. Eichner in front. Gee, he's a good player. Judged it superbly, but he was going too quick and went over the boundary line with the footy right in front of the Cheesecake Shop, and there'll be a ball in centre wing out of side of the Alberton Oval.
Yes, the Angus Securities game of the day. There's been PDK highlights galore. Don't worry about that. The tap comes down there to Clayton. It wasn't meant for him because it was the Central's ruckman that got the quick handball out from Biachi, I think it was. In fact, it was Jenner, I beg your pardon. Goes off the turf at centre wing out of sight. In front of the Central's player is Eichner. The handball back to the player there, and Chad Davis was very good. He goes via the right boot and finds that player in Jenner. He takes a good mark in front of the player there in Kane Officer. He plays on now the left boot. He comes inboard, looking for the player there, and Jacob the surgeon, the doctor. He takes the mark. He handballs to the left-hander Clayton. Clayton goes inside 50. One-on-one in the goal square. Marich and off to hide. Marich, what can he do? It's rushed through by Paul Thomas for the Magpies, and Centrals go to 5-2-32. The Magpies 7-8-50 on the RPH footy scoreboard.
Yeah, Paul Thomas got there just in the nick of time, didn't he? Just Marich looked like he might be able to pull it down or soccer it through, and just as that looked the case, Thomas came through and rushed it across.
Okay, ends up with Ops now. Ops will go further afield, gives it over to Slade, back to Ops. Ops now puts it in the centre, gives it to Chris Gown. Back it comes to Ops. Good play there. He goes though. The kicks let him down. Another Smithfield crash clanger as in goes O'Sullivan. Slips over. Recovery's good for a little man. Puts it up towards full forward. The lead is on from Graham. Oh, it almost took the mark, got him and shouldered out of it, and the ball's rebound to Eichner, and the Pies are away again. Up towards centre wing, taken by Davis. Davis now will put the ball on the boot, but again, he's picked out Adrian Wilson and put it down his throat for the doggies. He'll go with a long sweeping handball to Chris Gound. Chris Gound now gives it, almost put Slade under the hammer. He got away with a handball now to Off to Hide. The ball sits for him. Off to Hide now breaks away, gets the handball back inboard, taken by Symes. Symes now for the doggies, up towards half forward. Up they fly, in front Graham. The ball pumped away again. O'Sullivan tries to use the body. The ball will ricochet out. Off to Hide is still up there at half forward. The ball is now turned back towards half forward for the doggies. Up they fly. The Port Adelaide defence all over the top of their immediate opponent as the ball comes to O'Sullivan, and once again a ball up just outside the 50 for the doggies.
Yes, on RPH football, just outside the 50, as Dennis Brown said. Grand Central says we've gone 29 minutes and the margin is 20 points in front of the Port Adelaide Magpies, and the Angus Securities match of the day is an absolute cracker. Don't worry about that. 7-9 to 5-1. So inerrant kicking has probably cost Port Adelaide a better lead than what they should have. And there goes the siren for half-time on RPH football. Angus Securities game of the day. The Grand Central time clock at half-time said 30 minutes had been gone. Port Adelaide 7-9-51. Central's 5-1-31. And what an interesting term that was. Phil Hurden. Well, the doggies just couldn't quite get their nose back to where they needed to be. 4 points it was the margin at quarter time, and now it's 20 in favour.
Of course, these broadcasts wouldn't be brought to you as the umpire holds the ball aloft to start the second half here at the Alberton Oval, coming to you on RPH 1197. Immediately the ball to Thomas, who's in the middle of the ground and bangs it up towards half forward, but coming out is Baird for the Pies. Takes the mark, goes to centre wing. The kick is a beauty, and he's found the player out there in Jenner, I think it was. Goes up towards the lead of Brock Harry. The ball bounces in front of him. In fact, it was Mark Jeremy Clayton, I should say, looking there for Lockham. He gets the footy, puts it back up towards half forward. In there is Jeremy Clayton throwing hard. The doggies try to come away with the footy, but they can't. It's at half back on the outer side, half forward flank grandstand side, and the umpire will ball it up.
Just outside the 50 for the Port Adelaide Magpies. Hitting it there was the ruckman for Centrals. It comes to Jeremy Clayton. The handball comes back and he's kicked inside 50 by the Port player. Couldn't pick him up who that was. Going back with courage was Off to Hide and doing it beautifully. It comes out now to the Centrals player. The handball comes to Obbs. He goes by hands to James Gowns, and then the player there, Officer, picking it up, but will be taken over the line by the Port Adelaide player, and the boundary umpire will come and throw it in right in front of the scoreboard almost at Alberton Oval. Grand Central says we've gone about a minute and a half. 7-8-50 the Port Adelaide Magpies. 5-1-31 other doggies.
Boundary umpire to throw it in. Big Meiklejohn and Off to Hide contesting the ruck. The ball out the back taken by Slade. He immediately breaks away, goes in short looking for Norsworthy at centre half back. He gave the ball back to Slade. Will certainly let everybody know he's going to do that. Slade's high ball ball into the centre. Big Scholar was lumbering out and the ball bounced away from him. In goes Surgeon trying to pick up the foot. He did so. Then gets a handball, gives it now to Bullen. Bullen goes short. He's got Polton in the centre of the ground. Polton will run to just outside 50, chips it around the body. Oh, he may have set his teammate up in Mark Clayton, but the ball comes somehow to Morrison. Morrison turns around and fires at the goal. But they're picked up where they left off at half-time. Away to the right-hand side, the minor score recorded for the Pies. They go to 7-9-51. They lead the Doggies by 20 points, who are on 5 goals won.
And there's Ofterhide comes out and finds Slade. He's been busy early. He takes the mark and he rebounds from 50 with a kick, looking for and finding Symes. He takes it almost on centre wing, grandstand side, right in front of the RPH footy crew on the Angus Securities match of the day. The kick there was looking for McKay, but beating him was Eichner, and he's done it beautifully all day. The rebound there by Slade, I beg your pardon, picks it up. It now comes to Symes. He handballs and finds James Gown. The reason I know it's him, he's got longer hair than his brother today, making it easy for the RPH footy broadcast. Goes to the short-haired version, and that's of the Chris variety. Gown. He kicks inside 50. The kick is an absolute gem, and coming out there and taking the mark is Quinton Graham. That is great use of the footy by the Doggies. The Gowns boys involved.
I don't think it's Graham, though, is it? I don't think it's Graham.
Well,
Certainly
we'll pick him up
like
in just a second. But what, you mentioned that, Paul, but of course last week Chris had the long hair.
Dutchke.
And Jimmy had the short hair. And you're quite right, DB. It is Dutchke who, well, playing one of his rare games of football. He's again one of those young lads hoping to make the step up. He's going to come in from about 48. Played 2 games. Did not kick a goal for the Doggies last year. He has one now, though, and a critical goal to open up the second half. Central District 6-1-37. Port 7-9-51. And once again, one scoring shot each. The Magpies a point, the Bulldogs a goal.
Yeah, they want a bit Central. You've got to bet the Gown boys.
Exactly right, and definitely a PDK highlight that pass by Chris Gowns. It was a beauty, wasn't it, onto Dutchke, and he made no mistake. Very confident in the way he approached the kick and kicked powerfully through the ball. Darryl Smith will be proud and happy to see that. Umpire with the footy to pull it up back in the centre. So first blood as far as sausage rolls are concerned to the Doggies as Big Marrick in the second half, that is. Big Marrick got a hand to it, ended up with Scholar. Back it comes to Thomas. Thomas, his second kick out of the centre, up towards half forward. Bullen, in fact, Baird it was the half volley. He couldn't control it. In goes Chris Gowns, gives it to McCabe. McCabe went over the top, but the handball was poor. That's a Smithfield crash clanger. He gave it to the Pies, and they will not mess it around. Comes to Jenner. Jenner now gives it to Polton. Polton, a beautiful kick into the centre. Comes here to Surgeon. Surgeon goes bang towards full forward. The height at the back. Will it be a Pie mark? No. Off hands though. Big Michael John lumbering after the footy, but he can't control it. Got out of bounds in the left full forward pocket for the Magpies.
And Grand Central says we've gone 3 minutes and the margin is back to 14 points. The Magpies probably should have put the Doggies away. The Doggies haven't gone away, and they've kicked the first goal of the opening half. You're at Alberton Oval. You're on RPH football. The Anchor Securities game of the day. There's the boundary line throw in right in the forward pocket for Port Adelaide. Michael John just took it out of the air, snapped it around the corner, but the umpire makes a bit too much ground to his left and taps that shoulder with his right hand, puts up his right finger and indicates that he is signalling a behind, and does it beautifully. And there's Ofterhide picking up the football and will kick it out from fullback for the Doggies. So the RPH footy scoreboard 7-10 to 6-1, and Ofterhide will rebound, and he goes short and finds the player there in Obstead as he picks it up. He's got those gold boots on, you can't miss those. He handballs and rebounds from 50 to Thomas, who took that handball receive. He feigns once, he handballs now and finds Westhoff. Westhoff didn't have a left-hand handball, and therefore the Smithfield crash clanger picked up by Locken. It's now with Bullen. He turns it around the corner, looks for and can't quite find the player there in Biaggi. Some attention there by the 16, which is Thomas for the Doggies. The umpire comes in and says, that's holding the football. You're on RPH football with Dennis Brown.
Yes, and this will be a 25-metre penalty as well. He wasn't close enough to see that, but the umpire was right there, so he obviously thought the player had every opportunity to get rid of it. I doubted that, of course, otherwise I wouldn't have said that, but never mind. The umpire has paid the decision, and a big chance for Biaggi to kick a very important goal for the Pies in this third quarter, I should say, Phil.
Yeah, well, just to stem the Bulldogs' comeback, Biaggi from 49, the kickers high will lob in the goal square. They fly, thumped away towards the boundary line, picking it up there. I think might have been Jenner looking to run it around the boundary line. It's getting close. Still in board, getting further around towards the scoreboard. Now the Doggies have got it. DV, they should clear.
They certainly should. Half back now. It's with the Doggies as away comes West off the left footer now, goes up towards half forward. He's looking for Graham. Graham attempted a one-hander, but the Pies too much height. Off hands now comes to Di Pasquale. He goes over the top, put his player under the hammer, but the handball came back and Di Pasquale put it up towards half forward. Oh, Morrison almost a one-hander, falls to ground. The doggies are desperate, but so the Pies. It's inside their 50. Chance now for the Obsted was. He's wrapped up, and there'll be a ball up inside the 50 for the Magpies, who are attacking again as they did in the first half.
Well, one just hopes that for Port Adelaide they don't run out of legs. They have been really quick in the first half and have started quarter three in exactly the same fashion. There's Micklejohn getting in front of Oftahide, but Slade gets the handball out and finds Thomas. He will rebound with the kick out of the defensive 50 on the centre wing outer side deck. Going up there is Marek as opposed to Sculler. In comes McCabe, almost wrapping up, but it comes to Eichner. Eichner, the handball to Surgeon was good. Surgeon goes inside 50 for the Magpies. Being held onto. Oh, possibly not. Well, I thought that Micklejohn was being held onto by Sibinaila, but it's gone through for a rush behind. That's what they don't want, the Maggies. 7-11. The doggies are 6-1 and still in it. And the ball comes out now and finds Thomas. He's been a good player. Takes the mark and plays on by hand and goes to Officer. Officer rebounds from 50. Looking for options. He just doesn't have one at the moment. He goes with a kick. Kicks it straight to Ivan Marek.
Yeah, that was a PDK. That was a Smithfield crash clanger for sure. And it was a shocking kick off the boot. And Big Marek did well to control it.
And it's happened about 4 or 5 times this afternoon.
Exactly right, up towards 10.5 forward. That's a PDK highlight. A good mark in front of the pack. And I'll pick the player up for you in a minute.
Jenner
it is. He puts it on the right boot. Tell you what, he's taken a couple of those back, more than that this afternoon. He's got a very good pair of hands as Jenner. Here's a chance for Morrison now. Gives it back out here to Bullen. Bullen around the body into the pocket. Can it be taken? It is taken by Mark Clayton. Good strong mark with a couple of goons running across the float of the ball. He kept his eyes on the sausage and has now got it in his hands.
You can give some credit to Morrison there. He couldn't take the mark, went to ground, got back up, second effort, got the ball back. And now Clayton, well, he's going to have the, this is the Henry Slattery pocket. We were here against South, remember, last year, and he kicked one from here to win the game at the depth against the Panthers, and the Panthers never recovered. Clayton comes in now, 38. That looks like a pretty good kick. That is a brilliant kick, almost from the boundary. The Magpies 8-11-59, Central 6-1-37. Thanks to Black and White Trucks and Removals. Let's move it right around the ground.
Thanks, guys. In the AFL, it's Geelong by 63 points over the Kangaroos. The Bulldogs are 25 points clear of Melbourne. And in the other SANFL games, it's Nord are leading Sturt by 3 points, and South are leading North by 3 points, and Glenelg 36 points clear of the Eagles. Back to you guys.
It's me on RPH football, moving it right with Black and White, goodness me, and they're doing it beautifully here. There's Scholar getting in front of the player there in Marek, but his second effort was good. It's now being picked up by Bullen. In fact, it's Butcher, I beg your pardon. He gets the centre clearance, looking for and finding Locken. Takes a very solid chest mark. In front of the player there in Obsted was possibly a 25-metre penalty. Shane Harris says no, and Locken goes with the Smithfield crash, clang a kick on the left boot, and picked up there by Chris Gowns. I think it was. The handball wasn't very good. Another Smithfield crash clanger, but it's now come to Symes. He has rebounded from 50. He'll look for and find there James Gowns, and he takes the mark in front of Tommy Carr, looking to play on. Didn't have an option. He does now. Grandstand side centre wing, looks for and finds McCabe. The day he's having, it'll probably go out, or he'll get caught by Eichner. Neither of those happen. He goes round onto the right boot and kicks it inside 50 to a nest of Magpies. You can see it. There's a tree, there's twigs, there's branches, and there's Marek taking the mark and handballing to the player there in bed. He goes by the left boot, looking for and finding Fitzgerald, marks strongly as opposed to O'Sullivan. He goes by hand and finds R2. I beg your pardon, God bless you. He kicks it and finds Clayton. He picks it up beautifully, wheels round onto the left boot, kicks it inside 50, but off the height. Oh, with the pace to burn in front of Micklejohn, kicks it there to the player in O'Sullivan. One hand, he went, but it didn't matter anyway. There was no opposition. He handballs now to Thomas, who's in the centre of Alberton Oval. He takes off now. He goes with a kick inside 50, looking for and finding. Oh, Magpies, it's been the story of the day. Picked up there by Di Pasquale. It comes now from Archie, and it'll go to Fitzgerald, and he goes wide and finds Archie at half-back.
Yeah, Archie certainly covers some ground there as he kicks it into the centre, and the mark taken by Morrison. So Morrison with the footy for the Pies. Been a good player this afternoon. He's kicked 3 sausage rolls. Waiting for things to settle down a little bit. Not a lot of leads forthcoming.
Certainly with the 2 best forwards missing for both sides. Porter found the replacement. Centrals just don't have a winner up forward.
There's a kick from Morrison up towards half forward. The big back fly out the back. A chance for Micklejohn if he can pick up the footy. Oh, well done by off to height. I tell you what, he's playing a good game off to height. He's conceding height to both Micklejohn and Big Marek, and even Morrison when he's gone up there to take a mark, doing a good job, and there'll be a boundary thrown right alongside the RPH scoreboard, which shows the Pies 59 and the Doggies 37.
There's the boundary line thrown right on 50. Ofterhide going at it with Micklejohn. Probably came down from Ofterhide. Picked up there by O'Sullivan. Gee, he's been involved in everything. James Gowns almost took it, but it comes out now, the player in Tommy Carr. He gets sort of half a handball, and in front of Chris Gowns is the player there in Bullen, and he's ticked it out of bounds. And as Dennis Brown mentioned on the RPH football scoreboard, 8-11-59 on the Angus Securities game of the day. Central 6-1-37, and Grand Central says we've gone exactly 10 minutes, so there's going to be a secondary boundary throw-in right in front of the faithful out there in the outer at Alberton Oval. What a superb day it is for football. Not much wind, no rain. The umpire will come in now and ball it up. In there is Micklejohn, also off the hide, involved with the Gowns boys. There's Locken sniffing around, and also there Jeremy Clayton, who started this quarter a little bit more quietly than he begun quarters 1 and 2. The umpire balls it up now, and you're on RPH footy with Dennis Brown.
Right, the ball tapped to the advantage of Jeremy Clayton. Dodges one way, then the other. Brings it back, kicked forward by a teammate. Didn't pick him up, but it's going to be marked, in fact, across to the halfback by Obst for the Doggies.
Yeah, they've made a substitution. Central, Graham off and Britton on.
Okay, now it's Obst with the football. Under enormous pressure this afternoon, the Doggies. He kicks it short in the defensive 50 to Symes. Symes now goes a long bomb up towards half forward. It's over the head of the intended target. The Pies again outnumber their opponents as it ends up now with Tommy Carr. He breaks away. Will go short into the centre. Surgeon all by himself. Nobody within cooey of him. He turns around and bangs a high ball. The tall timber is there. Offhand, Micklejohn, will he be able to get on top of the ball? He can. The ball, though, tap it out. Otherwise, you'll get pinged. Jet now for Symes. He's wrapped up. He's being held on there, and the umpire has no option but to ball it up inside the 50, half-forward flank grandstand side for the Magpies.
Yeah, last week, Central's defence, they used the Sturt tools. They brought the ball to ground and basically ran away. But the Magpie forwards are just not giving them any space. No clearances, no smooth passages for the Doggies today.
Okay, the ball tapped down to Symes. Ended up there with Chris Gowns. Back to Symes. Symes on the left boot, going very close to the boundary line. Bounces for buckets. McKenzie, he grabs it. Thought about a long handball. Did so. O'Sullivan's going to run onto it now. Oh, kicked the ball with his boot. Tried to keep it in play, but couldn't do so. Jeremy Clayton going a bit of hurry up, and you want to be careful, young O'Sullivan, because that was almost a free kick. In fact, most umpires probably would have paid it.
Absolutely, and I think Jeremy Clayton, just reminding him, that was a Smithfield crash clanger on RPH football. There's McKenzie, got in frront of Marek, who gives him a bit of a mouthful. Oh, going in hard is Johnny Baird. He does it beautifully, gives O'Sullivan what for. He comes back now to Marek. Marek has a bit of a think about it. Almost time stood still, possibly copping one round the chops was Bullen. There's O'Sullivan involved. He gives it back to Chris Gowns, who comes now to Symes. He goes inboard and finds Thomas. Running for him is the player in Sibonala. Running for him is the player in Norsworthy. Getting some attention from Morrison, but he's too quick. Goes back to Offside. He's right. Sibonala. He's right in the centre of Alberton Oval. They're going to the northern end. Oh, flying from behind was Dutchke, but taking the mark there is Di Pasquale, and he rebounds from 50 and finds Jeremy Clayton, who kicks and finds the ponytailed and the tattooed Jared Polton. He marks on centre wing grandstand side, opposed to Chad O'Sullivan there. He copped a bit of a mouthful from Jeremy Clayton just before. He goes with a kick and finds there Locken right in front of the RPH commentary crew.
It was a PDK highlight. We missed it back there. Archie, a beautiful push in the back. He knew the umpire was on the blind side, put the two hands up, got rid of his opponent, and the ball spilled out the back, and the Pies possession. Beautifully done, a PDK highlight, as the ball is now with the Bullen centre wing grandstand side for the Magpies. Looking for movement further afield. There it is. He's going to go long, looking for Tommy Carr. In fact, it's too long. Went over his head. Chance there for Jimmy Gowns. He couldn't do much with it. Came to Morrison. Morrison with a handball to Polton. Polton got it to Lightning to Jenner. Jenner with a short kick to Tommy Carr, who goes bang, and Tommy kicked it. No touch, right on the line by off to hide for the minor score recorded to the Doggies, and they're immediately away as off to hide now kicks it out to Evil Roy outside there, half-back flank out of side.
He rebounds from 50, and he's going to centre wing out of side, looks for and should find the player there in Thomas. He got a kind bounce. He ran around Marek, and he ran around another Port Adelaide player there in Jenner, I think it was. He goes inside 50, looking for Scholar it was, but picking up there is Dutchke. The handball comes back to Britton. About time he did something, and he didn't. He got wrapped up in the tackle. PDK highlight, and holding the ball against the player in Britain. He's had a Barry Crocker, don't worry about that. But the ball comes outside of 50. O'Sullivan was good. He handballed back and found the player there in Thomas, I think it was, who goes now and finds the player in McKenzie, takes the mark and plays on immediately to Obst. He's in the centre of Alberton Oval, looks for and finds Polton. That's a Smithfield crash clanger. That was terrible. Polton goes around the corner and finds Clayton. Ever since I said he had a quiet start, he's been in everything. He runs around the player there in Officer, I think it was, and he goes there to Jenner. What a game this bloke played. He's been strong, he's been good, he's been elusive, and he does that against Symes. He kicks now and finds the umpire Morrison. He's right on centre wing, grandstand side. You're on RPH football with Dennis Brown.
Morrison now with the footy. The Pies doing it superbly and kicks it short now to Tommy Carr. Gave ground. Tommy Carr still at centre wing. He's got a couple of Magpies loose in the centre. He decides to go to the Surgeon. Way out on the outer side of the ground. Surgeon takes the ball now, streams through the centre, has a bounce, runs inside 50. The Surgeon goes for the doctor, but he's fallen short and the mark taken by Wilson in the back pocket. Grandstand side. Wilson plays on, comes to Jimmy Gowns, right on the 50-metre mark, the defensive area for the Doggies on the grandstand side. So Jimmy Gowns, what will he do? The lead is on for Northworthy. Ignores that though. He ain't heavy further afield, but ignores that as well. No, he doesn't. He gives it to his brother, and Chris Gowns has got it now. He puts it on the boot. This is where they're falling down. Over the back, a magnificent mark taken by Johnny Baird. Immediately plays on, gives it to Morrison. The turnover could be costly. Comes now to the player there in Biaggi. Biaggi gives it to Big Marrick. Big Marrick puts it back into the centre to Lockham. Lockham's got Tommy Carr there on the outer side of the ground. Tommy Carr's got it. Tommy runs towards 50, goes bang. The lead is on, but the kick has fallen short. Comes to off the height. He's playing a game and a half, I tell you. Comes to Symes. Symes to Jimmy Gowns. Almost had his head pulled off. He'll get the free kick across half-back for the Doggies.
Oh, he's just getting up and putting it back on. Very lucky to get out of that with Central's off the hides playing a game and a half. Don't worry about that. Jimmy Gowns plays on and finds that player in off the hide who will rebound from 50, and he'll find the player there in Sibonala has also been a good player, but they've been under siege. It now comes to the player, and I think that is Kane Officer bouncing on centre wing outer side. He goes with a kick again. They're falling down up here, but Obsters move forward, but Eichner just says, well, if you don't mind, I'll beat you as well, and does it absolutely beautifully and takes it out of bounds around about 75 metres out from the Central's goals. The Angus Securities game of the day, 16 minutes gone. Porter 60, the Doggies are 37.
The Bulldogs only trailing by 4 goals, but you can't see him kicking that for the rest of the game.
Boundary throw in, big buckets. McKenzie at the back, comes to O'Sullivan. He's got a bit of courage, Sullivan. Then back to Quinton Graham. He gives it to Evil. Roy Slade. He goes up inside 50. Again, Archie got rid of his opponent. Did it superbly. The ball off hands and away go the Magpies now. Jeremy Clayton's got it. He'll put it out here towards the... there's a rare mistake by Jeremy Clayton. The ball fell short, and coming in to take the mark is Westhoff for the Doggies. He gives ground, goes back now to big Quinton Graham. He goes bang from 50. The ball is high and away to the right-hand side for the minor score. So that's the Doggies first behind since the first quarter. They go to 6 goals to 38. The Pies are 8-12-60 on the RPH scoreboard.
And Johnny Baird took that kick in from the Port Adelaide teammate, and he takes it now and he kicks and rebounds from 50 and finds Biaggi. Takes it right on the 50-metre line, grandstand side. He plays on immediately. Biaggi's been a good player today, but an intriguing battle with Westhoff. Marek lost the ball in the sun, but still did enough. Holton went in hard, but he's wrapped up by the player there in Chad Norsworthy, and Bradley Symes holding the ball, possibly, but the umpires have said no on that occasion, Dennis Brown.
He had prior opportunity and ran the gauntlet and got caught.
He did indeed. There's Marek as opposed to McKenzie. They need something here, Centrals. That's an understatement. Don't worry, as Phil Herden said before, you just can't see them winning, but you never know with the Doggies. They won a few flags, so they've got experience and they know how to respond to pressure. Don't worry about that. You're an RPH football with Phil Herden.
Yeah, well, looking up forward, they've got a Scholar who hasn't kicked a goal. They've got Obst who hasn't kicked a goal. They've got Britton who hasn't kicked a goal, so they're going to have to get a wriggle on.
The ball comes back into play. Thomas having a run on the field, taps it down to Slade. Slade now to O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan goes in towards full forward. This is where they've got to take a grab. Putting up one hand was Scholar, but tapped through for the minor score by Baird. And so the Doggies go to 6-3-39. Port Adelaide 8-12-60.
In the PDK Player of the Year, Paul, can you give vote to a defensive unit?
Absolutely. The way that off the hides played, he'd be a fair chance to get a couple. I wouldn't have thought. There's the kick out, finds Di Pasquale. The long looping handball back to Baird, so they didn't really gain anything. They went backwards as it turns out, and it goes wide and finds the player Biaggi. Now Alan Obst is standing the mark. Biaggi comes back to Johnny Baird. Well, this is the choking tactic that everyone in the AFL has been bagging Neil Craig about, and it's happening here at Alberton Oval, and I like it. Well done by the Magpies. The kick there finds Lock, and he takes the mark, and he'll rebound from the defensive 50 with the luxury of a bounce. He's now on the line. The big left boot comes to grandstand side centre wing. It's gone up. If there were clouds up there, it's going to rain. Oh, Murray, a great attempt at a mark, just couldn't quite get it. Jeremy Clayton, what a player this bloke is. He picked it up. He gives the hand pass there to Rock Harry. Rock Harry goes inside 50. Oh, and good mark there. Getting in the way was Graham. He takes it at centre half back and plays on immediately. Westhoff and Biaggi have played off each other, and I like that. Indeed, Westhoff's been good. The left boot now on centre wing outer side, looking for and finding nothing yet again. That's the problem for Centrals. Bernie Britton has just done nothing there. Used to be a DJ, and he's out there playing footy this afternoon, and it goes out of bounds in front of the Alan Scott Power headquarters, right at the 15-metre line for the Central District side. 8-12-60. Centrals are 6 63-39.
Well, that was the wrong option. I mean, they've been out-pointed across half-forward. They had two doggies running through the centre, and they went to go long to half-forward. They would have been better off holding the footy and at least trying to run it to the 50 and inside. As the ball comes off hand to O'Sullivan, tries to get a handball into Evil Roy Slade. He goes to ground, somehow got a handball out. It was fumbled, though. It's Chris Gowns, is it? He'll bring it in short, looking for and finding Norsworthy. And Chad Norsworthy will go back and kick from 50. Thought about playing on. The lead was on from Jimmy Gowns, but now Norsworthy with the football. You'd think it'd be outside his range, Phil Hurton.
Well, just looking at the windsock, it's sort of blowing in that way, but as we've mentioned time after time, it is swirly. You've got to pick your moment. And he's taken a run up longer than Brett Lee for this one.
Well, the windsocket's just picked up now. It's almost parallel to the ground, so let's see what Norsworthy can do. Gets onto the ball. It's a long bomb. It might almost go through. No, I saw plenty of black and white hands up there. Touched on the last line of defence. Through for the minor score. 6 goals, 4. That's 40. Still only 20 points in it with the Pies leading 8-12 on 60.
If Polo's this going to be a treachery.
Yes, thank you, Con. And the kick out there was marked by Arkner, but the umpire brought it back. I didn't see what for, but he's now... Well, I'm not quite sure what's going on. I'm not going to make something up. I don't know what's going on. But Archie kicked it to himself. He'll come back, Archu, and he'll kick it to Baird. Well, I think that's exactly what happened. The umpire might call it back again. No. He signifies that Baird has taken the mark, and he's happy now to let the ball game go on. He kicks it now and finds Archu. That's a bit like Groundhog Day, but Archu, he will rebound from the defensive 50, looking for and finding Marek. Gee, he's an impressive-looking player, this young man. Ivan, don't call him Ivan. He'll get pretty cross. And he kicks it there and finds Biarchi. Biarchi with the handball to... well, couldn't find it. That was Di Pasquale, I think it was. The kick there from Fitzgerald. Oh, and he got lined up by Graham, but he was good enough to get out of it. Gee, he's done well there. The little Gaelic kickback it was, looking for the player in Biarchi, wrapped up in the tackle, holding the ball. The umpire says no. Westhoff picks it up. Oh, wrapped up by Chad Davis was the Central's player there, and the ball has gone out of bounds on the centre wing outer side. And Central's, they need a score, that's for sure.
Yeah, 2 changes for the Magpies. Clayton's come off for a rest, and Davis replaced him, and Slattery is on for Rock Harry.
Yeah, the pressure's been enormous out there all day, I can tell you, and players been caught with the footy. Some of the tackling's been outstanding. Absolutely magnificent game of football here. The SANFL, I'll tell you what, AFL is in that SANFL, but the S stands for super, and the N stands for natural footy here at the Alberton Oval. Up she goes.
Dennis Brown.
Buckets now, taps it down. A chance now for Tommy Carr. Gets the handball over, comes to Surgeon. Surgeon now gives it to Davis. Davis's kick is an absolute Barry Crocker. Out comes that man Wilson. Gets the handball over to, it was Sibanala, back to Graham. Graham will go out in the half-back, and the mark taken there by Westhoff.
Westhoff at left half-back for the Doggies. He kicks it there and finds the player in Chris Gowns. It is, picks it up, grandstand side. He's on the outer side centre wing. He goes inside 50. This has been the problem all day. Couldn't take the mark. There was McKenzie. It comes to Eichner. Gee, I've liked his game. And he rebounds and finds Polton. Polton takes the mark, the tattoo and the long hair in the ponytail. He rebounds from the defensive 50 and finds the player there in Bullen. I've liked his game as well. He'll get more confident from this. One would have thought. He calls the player to him and goes into the centre and finds there the surgeon, the doctor. He's not thinking about the nurse just at the moment. Don't worry about that. The handball from Di Pasquale finds Micklejohn. Gee, a bit of a mix-up there, but it comes back to Di Pasquale. The kick inside 50 isn't very good, but there's Marek. Gee, he's doing a great job, but off to hide. Conceding opponent. Picked up by Jenner. Oh, this will be the PDK highlight of the day, but it's not. It's the PDK point of the day, and that's been the flavour for Port. 8-13, 61, and Central's a 6-4, 40.
Yeah, this quarter, Porter kicked 1-5, the Doggies 1-2. We promise we will get scores as soon as someone can get that sausage roll.
Okay, off to Hyde, kicks the ball to himself, now breaks away. Been a great game of footy, there's no doubt about that. He goes to the half-back flank. Players set themselves out through the hands there of Westhoff. The Doggies again under enormous pressure, the Pies, and the umpire says, give it to me, boys. I'll ball it up centre wing on the outer side of the Alberton Oval. We're into time on. We've played about 4 or 5 minutes on the Grand Central time clock. There's been plenty of PDK highlights. There's been plenty of Smithfield crash clangers. There's been plenty of everything here. There's great SANFL games, and we've even got a blood rule as Mark Clayton leaves the ground.
And while they got the blood rule, good chance to go back to the studio very quickly, guys, for a couple of scores.
Yep, around the grounds in the AFL, Geelong are leading Kangaroos by 63 points. The Bulldogs are 26 points clear of Melbourne. In the other SANFL games, Nord are leading Sturt by 10 points. South are trailing North now by 16 points. And the Eagles are trailing Glenelg by 24 points. Back to you guys.
Okay, Mark Clayton came off and Butcher came on. And, of course, he left with the blood rule. I've never seen a Butcher yet without any blood on him, but he didn't have any. As the ball now is with Dutchke. Dutchke would chip it short. Man, he set it up, a shocking kick. And the Port Adelaide defence come away, but luckily the ball ball bounces back into the doggies' hands to Slade. They can't control it though, as the ball is still in contention. Will come back in towards the centre. Thomas will run onto the footy. Having a run on the ball is Paul Thomas. A long bomb towards full forward. Big bucket McKenzie trying to get it on the half volley, but the Pies are too good back here. Ends up here. Archie playing a game and a half. Gives it to Tommy Carr. He gives it to Eichner. Another player playing a boomer. Comes to centre wing and onto the ground came Butcher. And Butcher's got the stake in his hand as he goes bang now up towards half forward. Looking for Lockham. The kick was a beauty. A PDK highlight. And Lockham takes the mark and will go back at half forward. Grandstand side.
Well, the Butcher involved, the Doctor involved, and Manny Lockham now involved. Possibly unlucky not to get 25. Oh, going up was the helmeted Slattery. That's Luke Slattery. And it's Symes. He's called to play on. Interesting decision there. Off the height. He's going to have to do something here. He gets wrapped up in the tackle. As you heard the Port Blake go, ball. And there's Marek. Oh, he kicks it through. What a great goal that is by the Magpies. There's a Blake with hemorrhoids next to me, and he's screaming in pain. It is absolute pleasure and pain as the Magpies are on 9:13.67. The doggies are 6:4.40. The Grand Central clock says we've gone 26 and a half minutes. That is a PDK highlight by the big man.
Yeah, well, off the height had nowhere to go. He got the ball and suddenly surrounded by three Magpies, and that was just a sign of the pressure, tenacity that Port Adelaide have shown this afternoon. Pressure, pressure, pressure. Bill Laurie should be here. He would have had a field day, and Central Districts just weren't able to cope then, and the Magpies extended out to a 27-point lead. Almost time to call the ball game, gentlemen.
I reckon the Pies are just playing too well as the ball goes up in the centre. A kick by Micklejohn. The Pies go forward again. Out they come. They can do no wrong at the moment. The target misses. In fact, the free kick will go the way of the Butcher. So Basil Butcher with the footy now will kick it into the centre of the ground as Biarchi takes the kick. He's too far out to score. Thinks to slip it, but will fall short. But what a great game of footy, and the Pies, they should have this game all stitched and sewn up at three-quarter time. They lead 9-13-67. That's a 27-point margin over the doggies. Arena on the grandstand side. And it's the Pies by 27 points.
Whilst we're waiting, a three-quarter time score in the Amateur League. Port District 9-4-58. Broadview 8-5-53. Tight game there in the Amateur League.
Umpire holds the ball aloft, then throws it up. Up they go. Up went Scholar. Before acceptances came to Marek. Picked up by Jeremy Clayton towards half forward. Chance now for Lock, and he can't do much with it. Now taken by Graham, who must be playing in defence. He got it over to Britton. Britton, the interception by Morrison was a beauty. Here's a chance now picked up by Jenner. The little chip. He's seen a Guernsey, but coming through his officer and thumps the ball away. Running onto it though, Morrison. He followed up, but the mark has been taken by Off to Hide. He played a pretty good game, you know, against the odds back there. And chips it short, finds Quinton Graham. Paul Thomas appreciating the run on the pill. He's out here, but the kick almost let him down. In fact, it has. The kick from Quinton Graham was beautifully intercepted by the surgeon. And it's forced the ball over the boundary line for a throw in half-forward flank for the Pies.
Yes, and they certainly need a couple of goals to start this quarter, do Centrals, and the surgeon was involved there. Oh. A bit of a throw, it looked like to me, but there's Locken picking it up. He handball. No, he was looking for the handball. He does that now and finds Biarchi. There's Westhoff. Gee, that's a good chase. But the kick from the play there, Biarchi, was pretty good. Wilson fell over trying to take the mark. Oh. It goes to Harry. Harrow picked up by the player in there. Butcher gives it to Morrison. Oh, that could be the sealer. Number 4 to Morrison. Harry was involved. Locken was involved. And beautifully done. 10-13-73. Central 6-4-40. We've gone about a minute on the Grand Central time clock. And the Mangus Securities game of the day. The doggies look gone and the Magpies look home.
Yeah, I think you're right, Paul. Looking at the central forward line, there's McKenzie, there's Dutschke, Siebenala at centre half forward, and also their young Obs. Between those 4 players, last year they kicked a total of 7 goals. And right now, the Bulldogs are going to have to kick 6 1/4. I can't see them doing it.
Oh, that was a PDK highlight by Rock Harry. Had the presence of mind to just kick the ball out with the right boot, and that set up the sausage roll. The ball back in the centre. In there desperate was, I think it was, who was it? We'll pick him up in a minute, O'Sullivan. And the umpire said the ball was being held to him. I'll throw it up. Up it goes. Thomas up against, his opponent comes now to Westhoff. He's wrapped up. The ball held to him again. There'll be another ball up in the centre of the Alberton Oval. Great start to the Pies in the final quarter as they've increased their advantage to 33 points. Up she goes. Collar again with a left-handed tap. Comes down to Polton. Polton with a handball to the Butcher. The Butcher goes bang with the axe right up towards full forward. Off hands though. Chance now for Harry if he can get there. Coming in is also Jenner. Jenner's kick around the body was beautifully smothered though by that man. Off to Hide again. Forced it over the boundary line for a throw in the right full forward pocket.
Oh, that pickup DB was just PDK highlights galore by Jenner. Unfortunately, couldn't get it past Off to Hide, who I wouldn't mind saying has probably been best for Centrals today. He's been besieged, but he's played very well indeed. There's Morrison getting in front of the play there in Sculler. There's Butcher going around the corner and almost finding Lockham with a one hand, but it's picked up by Paul Thomas. And will he rush the behind? No, he doesn't. He goes round and he looks for a player out there in Graham, but interrupted by Polton it was. Gee, goodness me, they can't do a thing right, the doggies.
All the wrong options today, Phil.
I mean, since the opening bounce, the Magpies' intensity has been sensational. I've been waiting for it to drop, and it's only getting stronger, and Central have not been out of second gear all afternoon.
Well, they're certainly fit. There's the boundary thrown. It's just gone straight to Jeremy Clayton. He's wrapped up around the spleen. Make sure you don't injure that. And Morrison trying to pick it up, but it comes out to a teammate there who's been pushed in the back. As he know, he's been held when he didn't have possession, and that is the tattooed and the long-haired Polton. Polton comes inside 50, looking for a play there in Butcher, but from behind, Officer did well. He punched it down. Oh, there's the surgeon, the doctor. The left-handed handball goes only so far as Officer, who almost gets wrapped up in the tackle and kicks it straight to there in Morrison. That's a Smithfield crash. Klanger, don't worry about that. And the PDK highlights today has been the pressure and the application by the Port Adelaide Magpies. They've been great, and they're in front by 33 points. 4 minutes gone on the Grand Central time clock. Morrison is on a very tight angle and will kick from about 45 metres.
Yeah, Morrison, formerly from Queensland, the Southport Sharks, not the same Morrison who's played last year. They swapped one Morrison for another. Going in for a 5-goal haul in his second game. Kicks from 51. High kick will be a right of the right. Another behind to the Moggies. They are 10-14 74. Central 6-4 40. 34 points the margin. The biggest of the match.
Actually, it came from Richmond.
Came from Richmond.
Yep.
I got my
Okay,
Sharks
I'll
mixed
tell you
up.
what, boys, if the Pies had kicked straight, this would be a whitewash. As Off to Hide now goes to the outer side. Players will set themselves up in front of the pack was Graham. Out the back, though, the Pies are desperate. It kicked back into play. Chance now for O'Sullivan. He gets a touch of the fumbles and finally gets it over to Symes. The handball was touched again. They just can't get a clean possession. Now Symes has got it. Thought about giving it to Sullivan. Broke away. Put it on the right boot towards half forward. Eichner there in opposition to Wobbs. Came down there to Ditchke. Ditchke can't pick up the ball. It almost comes back to him, but in go the Pies. They've played magnificently across half back, and the umpires found a free kick. I didn't see that one. And it's going to come back here to Obst, who's limping away from the contest and will kick from just outside 50 for the Doggies. So Obst now with the football. He goes short, and again the ball short, lobbed well short of its intended target. Come to O'Sullivan. He gives it now to Scholar. Scholar was looking there for Chris Gowns. He couldn't mark it. Somehow the ball comes back to Chris Gowns, or is it Jimmy Gowns? One of the two. You can't be wrong. It's got to be one of them. Just inside the 50, a ball up for the Doggies.
Yes, and the player there in James Gowns wrapped up by the Butcher like he wraps up a piece of bung fritz, and he does it beautifully. And there's Anthony Mead, who will ball it up right on 50 for the Doggies. An understatement of the century would be they need a goal. There's Thomas. What's he doing in ruck? He's done just about everything else. Picking up there is Deep Pasquale. Goes backwards, almost wrapped up by Dutchke, and the ball rebounds from the defensive 50. Westhoff will be the first player there, opposed to be Archie. That's been a fascinating contest. It comes now to Evil Roy Slade. He's outside 50, goes inside 50, looking for and finding the player there in James Gowns. He's got the longer hair than Chris this afternoon, but Phil, certainly both Gowns boys have been relatively quiet today. They've been outpointed by their Port Adelaide counterparts.
Look, for sure and certain, Paul, and I think that's probably the first mark inside forward 50 we've seen Central take in this second half. The defence by the Magpies has been fantastic, but Jimmy Gowns, this is another tight angle. The Slattery pocket, I'm calling it after what Henry Slattery did there last year. We saw, I think, Mark Clayton nail one beautifully earlier in the third quarter. So he's going to have to think this one through a bit. 34-point margin, 5 minutes gone thanks to Grand Central. You think it's all beyond Central, but where there's time, there's hope, I guess. Jimmy Gowns comes in, aims right. It swings around, but not enough. Or swings around too late. Another behind for the Doggies. They're 6-5-41. The Maggies 10-14-74.
Archie brings the ball back in and finds Baird. Baird all by himself, just inside the defensive 50. Gets a handball, looking for Fitzgerald, but the handball was too high. One of the rare mistakes by the Pies today. Ends up with Surgeon. Back it comes to Baird. Baird on the right boot. Out to half-back. Polton is out there all by himself. He gets a lead on, but ignores that one and goes over the top. Intercepting was Northworthy, but he dropped what he should have taken. Definitely a Smithfield crash clanger. And the ball consequently over the boundary line for a throw-in. Centre wing outer side right in front of the Cheesecake Shop.
The Anchor Securities match of the day has been an absolute belter, and Port Adelaide deservingly well in front and should take the points here. And one would think it's just a matter of how much. There's Clayton. He gets the handball out to Surgeon. The doctor, he's been fantastic indeed. It will now be a ball up, and Daniel Cow with those nice clean sand shoes on this afternoon runs in and says it'll be mine. And there's Chad O'Sullivan, who's been a pretty good player. His disposal hasn't been sort of what you'd call clean and tidy, but he's certainly showed the application and desire to get there The umpire now picks the ball up off the turf, and he'll ball it up on centre wing outer side. There's Sculler, gets the tap out. There's that player in Norsworthy, the first gamer. He's in the centre of Alberton Oval. He goes with a kick there, looking up forward and looking for Mackenzie, but Archie was too good. He does it beautifully, but handballs now gets in the way with the Central's player, James Gowan. He goes up. If there's rain, it'll come now, that's for certain. And going good mark there by his brother. I don't know how they figured that out, DB, but James went to Chris. Now, I don't know if it was meant to work out that way, but it did, and he'll line up from about 30 metres out, directly in front. Port 10-14, Central 6-5. Grand Central says we're gone 7 minutes.
Well, over the last 7 seasons, Debbie, how many times have we seen those two brothers in action together doing the unimaginable? That was one. Don't know how Chris came up with the mark in that pack, but he did. And like his brother a few minutes before, he'll have a shot on goal. This should be easier. Straight in front. We'll kick from about 30 for the Doggies' 7th goal, and Chris's first. He unloads. Does not miss. Umpire doesn't deviate. And Central have their first goal of the final quarter. 7-5-47. Port 10-14, 74. Thanks to Black and White Trucks and Removals. Let's move it right around the ground.
Thanks, guys. In the AFL, a full time, Geelong 22-6-138 defeated Kangaroos 10-9-69 by 69 points. The Western Bulldogs 2017-137 defeated Melbourne 12-18-90 by 47 points. And in the other SANFL games, Nord are clear of Sturt by 16 points. North are clear of South by 29 points. And Glenelg 11 points in front of the Eagles. Back to you guys.
Okay, the ball now at half-back for the Doggies, but through comes the Surgeon. Gets a handball in. Is that the Butcher? It is the Butcher. He goes bang with a sausage and puts it straight through the high diddle-diddle. First goal, the Butcher. The Pies a quick reply. They go to 11-14-80. The Doggies back on, what are they, boys? 7 goals, 5-47.
Well, how quick was that reply? I reckon about 15 seconds in counting. Glad Mike was doing a great job in the studio with the scores, or we might have missed that one. But yeah, great play again. And, you know, the Magpies, do they impress today? They do get the bye next week. They front up their next matches here at Alberton on April 22 against South Adelaide, then the Redlegs, and they have started the season on fire tonight, Port, and might actually be on top of the ladder at the end of today's game.
The Angus Securities game of the day. I've been waiting for it all day. The Doctor to the Butcher has been absolutely superb, and couldn't get a difference in terms, that's for sure. In the centre of the ground, it's been Surgeon. He's been involved. I liked his game as it's worn on. Just his presence of mind and his composure has been good. He's got it now. He handballs to Biarchi. I've liked his game also, but Westhoff, his direct opponent's been good. He kicks it there, looking for the player in front, Morrison. Oh, he's been a handful. Don't worry about that. He runs now inside 50. Could he be lining up at his 5th, Morrison? No, he was lining up for his 5th, but he kicks his 3rd point for the afternoon. 4 goals, 3 to Shane Morrison. 11-15 to 7-5 in favour of the Magpies, and it'll be off to Hyde to bring it back in. Grand Central says we've gone 9 minutes.
Off to Hyde to the outer side of the ground. The kick is pinpoint and finds Norsworthy. Norsworthy now with the footy. Half-back playing outer side. Tips it in short to Wilson. Didn't gain a lot. He's still at half-back on the outer side. So Adrian Wilson with the football, the left footer. Just like his old man. He keeps it short. Oh, that was almost fraught with danger. Morrison almost got the intended kick for Thomas, but Thomas took it, gave it to Slade. Slade short to Big Scholar. Scholar will go inboard and give it to Symes. Symes has got a player going past. No, looked further afield, but then ran into trouble. Going to get a hurried kick away. Consequently, it comes off the boot like a sausage. I thought the Butcher would be there, but he wasn't. In fact, it comes to Chris Gowns around the body. He goes towards full forward and punched through for the minor score by Fitzgerald to take the Doggies score to 7 goals, 6-48. Port Adelaide 11-15-81, and we've played 10 minutes on the Grand Central time clock.
Oh, Deep Pasquale almost hit in the head by a yellow football, but he's now picked up the red one, and he'll kick it out from full-back. Gee, Port Adelaide, there's been a lot to like about their game today. In fact, there's been a lot to love about it. They've been sensational. Deep Pasquale with a big long kick, looking for Marek, and also there the player is Archu, and picked up by Sibinala. He tucked it out of mid-air, gives the handball back to Slade. Slade goes to Westhoff. Westhoff round onto that left boot and finds there the player in Mackenzie, and he takes it well out from goal, just outside of centre half forward. He goes inside 50 and finds Obst on his own. He's actually been a much better player since he's gone up forward. Obst, a bit of a presence. Well, they didn't have one with Britain. He just wasn't there. And now Obst will go and line up at the 2nd goal in a row for the Doggies. There's certainly plenty of time. I don't think they can do it. And Phil Hurden, Alan Obst has got those gold boots on, will line up from about 35.
Yeah, and Obst, as Jenner comes off to a deserving applause from the crowd, and Slattery back on. And Obst, just his 2nd game, has not scored a goal at league level in the SANFL. Will do so, well, we'll have a shot at least. 40 out, straight in front, sinks the slipper into it, really gives it a yank. And on this occasion, wide to the right, and that is a miss. So Central, that were once 5 goals won, they're now 7-7-49, so an accuracy creeping into their game. The Magpies 11-15-81.
Yeah, look, he kicked the ball strong and hard, but he approached the approach. There was a little bit of doubt in his approach, and consequently it slewed off the boot. Right, the ball now at halfback. I think it was Tommy Carr that kicked the ball long.
FAD.
There's going to be an FAD down the ground, taken by Slattery. He's just come on the ground. He goes short to Morrison. Certainly given them something. Has Morrison back to Slattery. He's as fresh as a daisy. Comes in short, looking for and finding his teammate there. And that player is it Harry? Bullen, is it? Bullen's got the ball right on the 50 on the outer side for the Magpies. They've played terrific footy this afternoon, no doubt about it. Just a warning to all the sides in the competition. Look out for the Pies in 2000 and Tom Mix as he goes bang with a magnificent kick. Goes right to the head of the square. Up they fly. Up went Big Michael John. Attempted kick off the ground. The ball, though, rolled through by Evil Roy Slade for the minor score as he goes to Port Adelaide go to 11-16-82. The Doggies 7-7-49.
And on the Grand Central time clock, 12 minutes gone in this last quarter. Off the high, kicks to himself. Now has the luxury of the bounce. He has a second, and he's got no options, that's for sure. That's why he's doing that, but he now finds Sculler, who takes the mark right at centre half back for the Doggies. He handballs back to Off the Hide. Good chase there by Marek, and Off the Hide looking for. He's kicked it to 2 Magpies and 1 Central's player, but did well, Officer. Took the mark in between 2 Magpies, played on immediately and found Graham with the hand pass. He goes inside 50, and he's looking for the player there in Obs, but there's Archu and also Eichner did beautifully providing the shepherd. Archu kicks it out looking for Tommy Carr. He's been pushed in the back, has he? The umpire says no, throw it in. Bit surprised as you are, DB.
Well, the wrong option again. He's kicked it to a teammate Obs who had 2 pies on him. I mean, Adrian Wilson was a mile in front of his opponent leading, and he ignored that one.
And they were lucky to get away the first time with the kick to Officer.
Boundary throw in, grandstand side, right opposite the bowling green. The ball out the back. No one can take it. Slade in there, tackled by Marek. The ball picked up by Chris Gowns. Gives it to Buckets McKenzie. He goes short. Ooh. And the kick has gone straight over his teammate's head, and that was Graham. And out of bounds in that right full pocket. The skill level of the Doggies today, gee whiz, I don't know. It's been very, very poor, and maybe it's because of the enormous pressure that the Pies have applied all afternoon. And of course they've had nothing up forward whatsoever. A little bit better in this last quarter, but first 3 quarters, well, you won't get the chocolates for the forward setup they had today. Better off going recruiting somebody out of Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. As the ball is now half forward with Slade, picked up now by Jeremy Clayton. Chance now for Surgeon. He runs onto the foot. He picks it up, goes bang with the left foot up towards Scholar. Scholar though drops the mark, bounces off his chest. Beautiful pick up by Symes. That was a PDK highlight. Gives it to Britton. Britton bangs the ball inside 50. Up goes the pack. It's a Port Adelaide mark. Terrific mark. I'll pick up the player for you. Don't tell me it's Jeremy Clayton. Fair dinkum. He's up against the tall timber and he pulls down a PDK highlighted mark. The ball at half back now. The Pies have got it again. Comes to deep Pasquale. Away they go again. Fair dinkum. This is almost like a procession for them.
Absolutely. There's Morrison going in and looking for Slattery it was, but Migglejohn from behind affected the spoils. Symes. In comes Butcher. Oh, he interrupts the handball. It will come out now to Sculler. He picks it up. He's got an option, but that's only backwards to Officer, so he's gone back inside the defensive 50. Now rebounded from there by Officer, and the mark taken there by Westhoff. I've said it all day. Westhoff and Biaggi have had a ding-dong battle, and probably Biaggi just have his nose in front, you'd think. There's the kick there. Oh, they've muffed it up again. Smithfield crash galore there was there, and there's Clayton wrapped up by McKenzie, and it goes out of bounds directly in front of the RPH football commentary crew. The English Securities game of the day. Port 11-16-82, Central 7-7-49. Grand Central says we've gone 15 minutes, and there's been PDK highlights galore, and Jeremy Clayton's been one of them. Here on RPH with DB.
Boundary umpire throws the ball back in. Oh, the big Marek had hold of Scholar's jumper. The umpire said that's okay today as the ball comes to Westhoff. Westhoff to O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan for the Doggies. Goes up towards 50. Up they fly. Tommy Carr up in front. Almost pulled down a great mark. It wasn't Tommy Carr. In actual fact, it was Baird. The ball out the back comes to Deep Pasquale. To Archie. Archie now to Surgeon. Surgeon goes bang with a pass looking for Slattery. Finds him. Centre wing grandstand side. There's a couple of Magpies loose in the centre, but he decides to go to half forward. They've been more direct all day. They were looking there for Morrison. The ball spilled out to the side. Going in hard there was Bullen, but in comes Northworthy. Northworthy goes across the face of goal and finds Off to Hide. Off to Hide's got Jimmy Gowns running for him to half back on the outer side. That's the way the footy goes. And Jimmy Gowns now has time for a bounce. Will he have another bounce? No. He'll put it on the left boot, brings it inboard and finds Bradley Symes for the Doggies.
Brad Symes, he's just on the defensive side of centre on the outer side of Alberton Oval. He goes and finds James Gowns with the long hair. His brother Chris with the short hair this afternoon. The kick there finds Thomas, who's encroaching on half forward. He kicks it now inside 50, looking for Wilson. He evades his player there, his opponent. It was he handballs to Graham. It wasn't a great option, but Graham was good enough to kick it to the goal square. But gee, the defence for Port has been resolute, and Archu takes it out of bounds in front of Obst. Goodness me, this is a really, really disciplined performance by Port Adelaide. They've been irrepressible. They've not given up. And their fitness levels this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, are something that you can look forward to. A pretty happy year, one would have thought, for the Pies. And the Doggies, 7-7-49 is just not enough at this standard of football to get your nose in front. There's Micklejohn getting it down to Jake Clayton, but he overran the ball. It's come back to Scholar, it wasn't there. It's come back to Chris Gowns. He comes in and kicks a consolation goal for the Doggies. That's his second. 11-16-82 are the Magpies. 8-7-55 are the Doggies. Grand Central time clock, 17.5 minutes gone. Let's move it right with black and white. Michael Phillippo.
Yes, thanks, guys. In the AFL, Geelong with 69-point victors over the Kangaroos. The Western Bulldogs beat Melbourne by 47 points. And in the other SANFL games, Nord have just kicked another goal to move 8 points clear of Sturt. North are 30 points clear of South. And the Eagles still trail Glenelg by 11 points. Back to you guys.
In the centre, up it goes. McKenzie and Micklejohn. The tap out. The Pies again there. Jeremy Clayton attempting to dive on the footy. It squeezes out. Away come the Dogs. Thomas now. He's relishing to run on the ball. Goes bang up inside the 50, looking for Wilson, but out the back. Almost taken by Fitzgerald. The Dogs have got a chance here. Evil Roy goes bang, and Evil Roy has missed everything. And he might have even snuck it in for a behind. He has. And they move along to 8 goals, 8-56. The Pies 11-16-82. And we've played almost 19 minutes on the Grand Central time clock.
Yes, we're not sure what's happening to the legs there. They were 16 points up and they kicked a goal to go move 8 points in front. So I'm a bit confused, but never mind. You're an RPH football, and there it is. I think the player there is Clayton. I'm not sure. In fact, it's Tommy Carr. He rebounds from 50 and finds Archu. Oh, Mark Clayton's found a lot of space in front of Sculler. He'll beat him all day, every day. Don't worry about that. Oh, and if I say that, he got wrapped up by Sculler. Well done by the big man. The handball comes back from Clayton. The dreadlock, the ponytail, the tattooed Polton goes inside 50 with a handball. For Butcher. Butcher deliberate. He's looking for the cut nail in the coffin, and he's put it through. PDK highlight galore at Alberton Oval on RPH footy. 12-16-88, 7-8-56. I beg your pardon, 8-8-56. I was confused by the fat ladies on the scoreboard. We've gone 19 minutes thanks to Grand Central. Phil Hurden, magnificent by Butcher.
And we probably should say g'day to those on the scoreboard. Thank you, Paul. And I mean, that is some icing on what's been a fantastic take put on by the Port Adelaide Magpies Football Club this afternoon. They have just played a full 4 quarters of great football. 20 minutes gone. They lead this one by 32, and that doesn't even show half of the domination they've had over the Doggies today.
Back in the centre again. Micklejohn with a big right-handed tap. Gives the advantage there to Bullen. Breaks away from his opponent. Has a bounce. Loses it. Goes in to get it again. Picks it up. He's caught. Throws it away to his teammate there in Micklejohn. Onto the left boot he goes. Lumbering out is Big Ivan. And Ivan Marek has marked the ball. They're just putting a couple of nails in the doggy coffin this afternoon. And Big Marek will line up from about 20 metres out, almost directly in front.
Well, from what I can reckon, Port Adelaide North and possibly Norwood will be undefeated tonight. And so a chance for Port to go top if they can get the percentage. They certainly deserve a percentage-breaking win today. They've had it all over the Doggies. This too make it worth the while as Marich comes in, and that is a sausage roll. So the Magpies are starting to really kick away. Marich has 3 on the afternoon, and the Magpies go to 13-16-94. Central 8-8-56, and that is a 38-point margin in favour of the Magpies. We said it should be more than that. Central District, just to let you know, next week they front up against the Bays, who, well, they're up against the Eagles. That could be a fascinating game. RPH will cover that, and then the week after they've got the Eagles in the big Anzac Day game. So the next 2 trips for the Doggies will be to the Adelaide Oval.
There's the ball up in the centre of Alberton Oval. McKenzie, it's all elementary now. It's just a matter of by how much the Magpies. There's Clayton. What a player he is. He takes a bounce now. Coming in Micklejohn. Good shepherd there. And looking for the player in Butcher. He takes the mark in front. Does he know it's play on? But he's given a free kick by umpire Daniel Cow with the clean sand shoes on. Biarchi wants to run into the open goal from about 70. So that's a bit silly saying that. But anyway, that's what he was looking to do from a long way out. Butcher on centre wing grandstand side. He goes inside 50. Looking for Morrison. Gee, he's been a good player indeed today. Oh, Locken, he's given away a free kick. That's a little bit silly there. And the umpire calls play on. Officer now kicks and finds Westhoff. Gee, I've liked his game indeed, as opposed to Biarchi. Westhoff, grandstand side, centre wing, comes with the kick in front. There's Sibinale has been moved up forward. Jeremy Clayton. Oh, look at him. He's just doing as he likes. Magnificent, but he handballed in error to Chris Gowns, who now goes with the left hand and finds O'Sullivan. Certainly has tried hard all day. Goes inside 50. 50, looking for the player there, and Wilson pushed in the back with Slade. No, it wasn't, and rebounding from 50, almost Port, but Slade picks it up and says nothing doing there. Gives it to Thomas. A late goal for the Doggies. No, a late point to the Doggies. 8-9-57. Port 13-16-94. The Anchor Securities game of the day here at RPH Football with Phil Hurden.
And don't the Magpies crowd absolutely love that?
Oh, mate, they bask in glorious victory. Don't worry about that. Has the ball now with Tommy Carr. Goes into the centre, and Jeremy Clayton coming off, and what a game he's played. There's no doubt about him. He's a class actor. The ball is with Jared Polton on the outer side, centre wing. The Pies have just been far superior this afternoon as he goes bang up towards half forward. Across the face was Officer, but he couldn't hold on to the mark, and the ball forced over the boundary line for a throw-in.
Just with the Stat Centrals had won the last 6 encounters, that winning streak is broken. Of course, the Doggies going to tie the club record of 16 straight wins. That's going to go by the wayside as well this afternoon.
And funny it should be against their old nemesis.
Their old nemesis.
The Lord moves in mysterious ways. There's no doubt about that. Phil Hurden, the ball back in the centre. Off comes Mark Clayton. On comes Rock Harry. So both Claytons off at the moment. The ball now tapped forward by Polton. Did it cleverly, but running on it was Thomas. He's wrapped up by Bullen, and there'll be a ball up in the centre of the Alberton Oval.
Now, is Bob Clayton on the bench?
He probably is, and there's 3 Claytons on the bench.
Yes.
They're the Claytons you have when you've actually got a Clayton.
Yes, the Claytons you have when you're actually not having a Claytons, if you're having a Claytons. There's the ball up, and there's Thomas. He tries to tap it down, but Magpies galore everywhere. Picked up by Luke Slattery with the helmet on. Goes inside 50 by his teammate. Looking for Morrison. Gee, I've liked his game at centre half forward. There was the player in Officer, it looked like. In fact, no, it was Bernie Britton, the DJ come footballer. It's now going to be picked up by the player there in... that is Morrison. Goodness me, I paused a little bit long there, ladies and gentlemen. I apologise for that, but he's out of bounds about 55 metres out from the Port Adelaide goals, and the Pies are home.
Yeah, 25 gone thanks to Grand Central. It looks like we'll be early, so we might catch up with Sandy at Glenelg Eagles and Chris at South and North to wrap up the games there this afternoon before we finish at 5.
Okay, the tap down was a beauty from Marek. Gave it a Rock Harry, almost a mark up forward by Slattery. Got pace to burn. Goes one way, then the other. Hooks it back short, looking for Polton. Polton will get a free kick. He was almost bang. The ball will come back. Slattery picked it up, backing up superbly, but Polton will go back and have a shot for goal. And who will ever forget that goal he kicked at the Sydney Cricket Ground a couple of years ago to win the game for the Power against, of course, the Sydney Swans.
That's right, well, Jared Polton, he was one of the late inclusions for Waterhouse and Stevens. Hasn't been... You wouldn't rate him in the highest best for Port Adelaide today because, let's face it, it's a very high bar that the Magpies have shown with guys like Clayton. You'd name all the defenders up there as well. But Polton comes in now from 40. It's a high kick, will land on the line. Oh, it's been that kind of day. And there he is, Ivan Marek with the mark, and he will shoot from 2 metres out straight in front.
Well, this will make him leading goal scorer by my calculations, boys, if he drills this.
Yeah, all we can say is Clive who?
Marek from point blank range goes back and goes bang. Beautiful goal to the Pies, 14 goals, 16. That's 100. They've reached a ton. They'll get in the Australian cricket side. The Doggies 8-9-57. And thanks to Black and White Trucks and Removals, let's move it right around the ground.
Thanks, guys. In the other SANFL games, it's Nord 14-14-98 to Sturt 14-7-91, 7 points clear. South are now coming back. They're 11 points down against North, 18-19-127, 18-8-116. And the Eagles trail Glenelg by 16 points, 12-8-80 to 9-10-64. Back to you guys.
It's come from the centre. It's come to Tommy Carr. They're on the attacker. They're loading up again. It comes now to the player in Harry who replaced Mark Clayton, the captain, I think it was. In fact, it was Jeremy Clayton. Harry goes inside 50 looking for the player there in Surgeon, but behind him was Officer. It actually went a bit far and looks like Surgeon's got some cramp. Let's hope it is. And it comes out there, the player in Mackenzie. He plays on immediately. That's Smithfield crash Klinger there. He's lucky to get it back. Gives it to Officer. He's in the centre circle that's actually on half forward flank. Try and figure that out. But if you're Alberton, you know what that means. There's Matthew Slade. He kicks it. That's centre half forward. There's Sibinala, but Port Adelaide are just too good. They're too composed. They're too strong. There's Micklejohn running around doing party tricks like a circus animal. He comes down to Baird. Baird gives it to Chad Davis. Chad Davis goes inside 50, but nothing there. Oh, almost picked up by the DJ and Bernie Britton. The handball comes out to the player there in Graham. He relieves the pressure on fine Mackenzie. Centre wing out of sight. He plays on immediately and gives it by hand to Matthew Slade.
Yes, Slade with the footy now. He'll handball it inboard to O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan will chip it out looking for the lead of Obbs, but over the back was Eichner. The ball spills out the back, and first there will be Locken. He gathers it in a defensive 50. He's got to play a loose, but cleverly hooks it back to Poulton, and Poulton takes the mark. Still at half-back, brings it out towards centre wing. Butcher's in the van. Also Surgeon, and the Surgeon, will he take the mark? He'll go back, plays on, gets a handball, diving on top of the player pulled off. He didn't even have the ball. You can't do that. And the ball comes back to Surgeon, and Surgeon goes bang up inside 50, and it will be taken back there by, it looks like Britton. Britton onto the boot, goes to the safety of the boundary line. Big Scholar lumbering after it. Also there is Archie. Archie picks it up, will bring it back inboard. Rock Harry's got the chance now. Rock Harry now will chip it short, looking for Big Ivan. Is that Ivan?
Yeah,
got it?
that's Big Ivan.
Ivan's got it. He don't tell me he's going to go back and kick another sausage. He's kicked 4 already.
And guys, Jacob the Surgeon, the doctor's just come off. I don't reckon it looks like cramp. I reckon he's got some sort of minor problem there. Let's just hope it's nothing too serious.
Okay, Ivan Marek right up against the boundary line. It'll be a great goal if he can drill this one.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, Surgeon, that would be a sad story because he wasn't initially listed, came in for Stevens, and has played a fantastic game for the Magpies today, given Paul Blandis lots of doctor jokes along the way. But Marrich's kick, meanwhile, has missed for a behind. So the Maggies go to 14-17, 101. Central 8-9, 57. Margin out to 44 points, which, if you play on the Bulldogs, that is a beating.
Great effort. Off to hide kicks. Gee, that's just been the story of the day. The possession hasn't been good enough, and Slade's got it now. The opposition from Bullen, it's got to come back now to off to hide. The Maggies will be top, ladies and gentlemen, after this game today, because they'll win 2 and they have the best percentage. It comes now to Thomas, who marks in front of the tattoos and the dreadlocks and the ponytail in Polton. He comes now to Symes. He plays on immediately. Jenner's back on the ground. The run comes from Officer, it looks like there. In fact, it's Chad Norsworthy, because he's looking for Officer, and that's a Smithfield crash. Clanger, the helmet, the Slattery, he does it beautifully. Biarchi picks it up, finds Locken. Locken will load up on the left boot, go inside 50 and find Morrison. The kick was too much for him, and it comes to off to hide. He'll relieve the pressure for the Doggies as it bounced. Gee, he's been a good player. Oh, almost interrupted there by Marek, but it comes back there to Matty Slade. He kicks it down, finds Thomas. Thomas rebounds from defence and finds James Gowan. Oh, he's almost in strife there. I think he's hurt himself a little bit. No, he hasn't. He wheels round onto the left boot and finds there the player in O'Sullivan. Centering out of side. He runs now inboard. Comes now looking inside forward 50. But there's Micklejohn in front. A bad option yet again. Yes, DB, I agree with him. Micklejohn. Oh, he did it beautifully. That's a PDK holo. Goes to the butcher. He's looking for the doctor, but he's off getting medical treatment. Oh, and there's the siren. Magnificent victory by the Port Adelaide Magpies. 14-17, 101. Central's 8-9, 57. The Grand Central last quarter went for 32.5 minutes. And a magnificent performance, ladies and gentlemen. Well done to the Port Adelaide Magpies.